Order, and let me direct the committee secretary to acknowledge our resource persons for today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. The Subcommittee on Career Progression System for Teachers would like to acknowledge the presence of our distinguished guest, namely, from the Department of Education, we have Undersecretary Wilfredo Cabral. We also have Dr. Jenny V. Hoxon, Director Mario M. Bermudez, Director Lynn Padillo, from the Department of Budget and Management, we have Attorney Tricia Paraan. From the Civil Service Commission, we have Attorney Jennifer Timbol. From the Second Congressional Commission on Education, we have Ms. Krovskaya Año Nuevo. From the Professional Regulation Commission, we have Dr. Rosita Navarro, Ms. Paz Lucido, and Ms. Paraluman Hiron. From the Research Institute for Teachers Quality, we have Dr. Brando Palomar, Dr. Maria Teresa L. Manacio, Dr. Ali Anudin. From the Philippine School District Supervisors Association, we have Mr. Joel Lubis, Mr. Jonathan Perez, and Dr. Marshall Season. From the National Association of Public Secondary Schools of the Philippines, we have Dr. Warlito Rosarial. From the Philippine Elementary School Principals Association Incorporation, we have Dr. Jocelyn Fernandez and Dr. Riza Valdez. From the Teachers Dignity Coalition, we have Mr. Benjo Basas. Mr. Chair, for the record, the subcommittee is in receipt of the following position papers from the National Association of Public Secondary Schools of the Philippines. Second is from the Philippine School District Supervisors Association. And lastly, just right now, we have an advance copy of the Department of Education's position paper. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Committee Secretary. So today we have a few items on the agenda. We'll be tackling Senate Bill number 678, entitled An Act Institutionalizing the Expanded Career Progression System for Public School Teachers, authored by Senator Jingoy Estrada. Senate Bill number 2827, entitled An Act Institutionalizing the Career Progression System for Public School Teachers and Appropriating Funds, therefore, introduced by yours truly. And then Senate Bill number 2831, An Act Institutionalizing the Career Progression System for Public School Teachers and Appropriating Funds, therefore, introduced by Senator Lauren Legarda. And then the House has already transmitted their version, and this is House Bill number 10270, an act institutionalizing, entitled An Act Institutionalizing the Career Progression System for Public School Teachers and Appropriating Funds, therefore introduced by Congressman, nakasulat, Congressman Romulo, Congresswoman Romualdez, Congressman Acidre, and a few other congressmen on the list. And then I understand that the chairman of this mother committees, Senator Bong Revilla, also filed Senate Bill number 2182, also on career progression system for public school teachers. But it is not yet referred to this committee. It will only be referred as soon as we open session, and that's I think around first week of November. So as soon as it's referred to this committee, we will consider that bill as well. So today we will be tackling 4 bills, and let me put on record my thanks and appreciation to Senator Bong Revilla, who is the chairman of this mother committee. The mother committee is the Committee on Civil Service, Government Reorganization, and Professional Regulation. And this representation requested from him to create a subcommittee, and this subcommittee is the Subcommittee on Career Progression System for Public School Teachers. So because I chair the Basic Education Committee here in the Senate, I requested from Senator Bong Revilla a creation of this subcommittee so that the discussion on teachers will be in line with our discussion in the Basic Education Committee. So just as an opening statement, let me open the discussion with a quote. And I took this quote from Dr. Jeannie Hoxon when they were presenting the reform on the Teacher Education Council, and I used this quote extensively throughout my my presentations and invitation to speak. And this quote, baka natatandaan niyo ito, Dr. Jeannie, the quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers. And this is a quote from a 2007 McKinsey report. However, the actual person who said this was not cited in that McKinsey report, but it's apparently from a South Korean policymaker. Unless kilala niyo siya, Dr. Jeannie, no? But this came from the 2007 McKinsey report. So this is how important our teachers are. And our education system cannot improve, cannot go beyond expectation without addressing the issues and also improving the morale of our teachers. So today we will be discussing the career progression of our public school teachers, and much have been done in order to improve the career progression of our teachers. The last administration under President Duterte issued Executive Order 174 that expanded the career progression of our public school teachers. And that is now being operationalized. But we deemed it necessary to institutionalize the said EO and also further improve and expand it. So that's the reason why we are here to discuss the institutionalization of the career progression for our public school teachers. And the intention of this proposals is not only to improve the morale of our teachers, because we all know, not only with our teachers, but with workforce, that improving morale of our workforce, including our teachers, can lead to improved outcomes, no? In every sense of the word. And the intention of the bill is to improve the morale of our teachers, to improve the morale of our frontliners in education. And by improving their morale, we can anticipate improvement in learner outcomes. And having said that, we want to clearly identify the paths for our teachers, so that improving morale not only comes in the form of remuneration or salary, but it also comes in the form of career progression, improvement in skills, improvement in their in their mobility in terms of their careers. And of course, hopefully, we will see teachers who are also leaders in our education system. So this bill calls for a very clear path, no, to improve the career mobility of our teachers. And in my view, our teachers should also be motivated by where they can be and how can they maximize their potential, not only in teaching, but also in leadership roles in our schools and in our divisions. So that's the objective of the bills, because personally, I view that improving the morale of our teachers will lead to better learning outcomes. So with that said, we will now go into the discussion of the bill, and we will start off with a briefing from and their position from the Department of Education, and then after that we will also call the Executive Director of the Teacher Education Council for her presentation and also her position. So we'll start off with Yusek Willie Cabral of the Department of Education on their comments on the proposed measures.
Thank you, Senator. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Generally, the Department of Education supports the House Bill on career progression. It's for one or two reasons. One, it is aligned with the current initiative of the department in pursuance of the implementation as well of the EO 174. We would like to highlight that the proposed bills are actually on ensuring that teaching profession remains attractive and it retains the best available talents through commensurate remuneration, just and an equitable promotion, and of course other job satisfaction and fulfillment. This is also aligned on our effort to fast track the implementation of the career progression system, and as well as on the doctrine of the civil service that mandates the institutionalization of merit and competency-based human resource systems, along with the policies that ultimately will advance the right of every Filipino to quality education. We also recognize the consideration given to the incumbent head teacher positions who will be affected by the implementation of the EO 174 under this expanded career progression system. And we are pleased to note that the provision on the bill are aligned on the direction of the department to provide just and reasonable options for incumbent head teachers and allow them as well to advance in their career within the current progression system on career line, or opt to be reclassified or retitled to the appropriate position. However, we would like to highlight our comments and recommendations on particular sections. One is on House Bill number 10270 on Section 2. While we believe that the improvement of career progression of teachers will boost the morale of our teachers and drive job motivation and performance, we would like to include in the proposed revision that in case of providing that just equitable measures to provide competency-based, we would like to put in there under the system of professional advancement that incentivizes the mastering of content, refining pedagogy, and teaching competencies as part of the provision, so that the teacher can carefully analyze own performance vis-a-vis their learners' performance and other, in order to implement the necessary changes to improve teaching and learning. For House Bill 2827, 2831, and Senate Bill 678, there's a minor inclusion of professional development and career advancement under Section 3, Paragraph A. And of course, we recognize the inclusion. Hi, ma'am. Good morning. The inclusion of ALS because this has been an issue coming from the field. Even if we issued during the previous years that ALS teachers should be given equal opportunity for promotion, there has been some sort of gaps in terms of implementation. And since this is already covered in the law, we highly appreciate and recognizes that inclusion.
Before you continue, let me recognize the presence of Senator Nancy Binay. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. The inclusion as well of the supervision career line in the career progression is also an addition to that appreciation. However, the manner of which such advancement should be clearly defined as well, probably on the IRR. In terms of comparative assessment, which is highlighted in House Bill number 10270, 10270, we recommend that in terms of comparative assessment and comprehensive teacher accreditation be further defined in the IRR, if not in the consolidated bill, just to distinguish the assessment of teacher qualification, the performance and demonstration of the PPST indicators for purposes of promotion from one position to another, which is reflected in the CSE Ora and the approved DepEd merit selection plan, the comparative assessment, and as well as on the systems of recognition, affirming the career stages achieved by teachers and school leaders, which is also cited in Section 8 of the RA 11713, or the Comprehensive Teacher Accreditation Act. Moving forward, we also support the Senate Bill number 2827 for the definition of teacher that recognizes the inclusion of ALS teachers, and for the options for incumbent head teachers under Senate Bill number 2827, we propose that all incumbent head teachers may apply to retain their positions and career progression under the current career progression, or otherwise apply for reclassification or retitling under their position to the appropriate position under the expanded career progression, provided that within 1 year from the effectivity of this act, all incumbent head teachers shall file the appropriate application to retain their current position and career progression line, and that they will be retitled under the expanded career progression as the case may be. So that we are trying to open up all possible options for all the head teachers. We also recognize that for purposes of this act, the DepEd shall prepare the list of incumbent head teachers who shall retain their current positions and career progression line under the current progression, and that no new item or position for the incumbent head teachers shall be created thereafter. For those head teachers who shall apply for reclassification or retitling to the appropriate positions can no longer revert back to the previous career line that they are into. And all teachers other than those incumbent head teachers who shall file the appropriate application to retain their current positions and career progression shall follow the expanded career progression provided, and they shall take or undertake the mandatory transition program, which shall be developed by the National Educators Academy of the Philippines. In terms of equivalence of position, I think this is something that we really have to look into, because as proposed, the Master Teacher 2, the School Principal 1, and Education Supervisor seems to be on the same. And of course, we would like to defer our position on the SG because we would like to note that there might be some sort of salary distortion if accordingly the teacher 1 will be upgraded to teacher 3 and adjust the subsequent positions in the upper level with 2, which means that the education supervisor could be as proposed would be equivalent to school principal 1, which is salary grade 19. But currently, the PSDSS and education supervisors are of the same salary grade level at 22. So if you're going to adjust that, then there will be some sort of distortion because the chief education supervisor currently as SG 24, if that would be the end of the progression, would be at salary grade 26, which is already equivalent to a schools division superintendent in terms of salary grade. So I think this is one area that we really have to look into. However, we would like also to consider, because the title itself is Education Supervisor 1. Prior to the rationalization, way back when I was an education supervisor, I hold the title of ES2, Education Supervisor 2, which is at the level of the region, and all of those in the division are Education Supervisor 1. So they are of the same salary grade, so I think that's one area that I think we can also discuss further so that the movement within the career progression could be very well articulated. So our comment is on that equivalence of positions may need further review because currently the public schools district supervisor, which is under the schools division, is at salary grade 22, the same as that of the education program supervisor, which is 22, and the chief education program supervisor either for the school governance and operations divisions and curriculum implementation divisions are also at salary grade 24. So all of this, the question would be, are we reverting back to having ES1 for the division and ES2 for the RO and SDO, something like that? And how are we going to match this up with the existing position of the PSDSS, which are also doing exactly the same supervisory function? Probably in terms of coverage, dun sa division and region and district, but they are performing the same function of supervision. So these are some of the transitory provisions that probably we need to look into. And if the proposed is SG19, the incumbent supervisors for PSDSS and education supervisor, whether at the division or at the region, would be affected by that transition. So those are some, although we have some propositions, but of course, as I mentioned, we would like to defer such situation to the DPM because of the position classification and compensation, which is applicable to all bureaus and agencies in the government. So for the, of course, dun po sa provision for the non-diminution in the basic salaries, we support that provision. But for promotion of teachers under this House Bill 10270, we propose that this provision be included such that teachers shall be promoted based on merit, fitness, and competence, which are anchored on the professional standards, that the evaluation of teachers in the teaching career line shall consider subject area, knowledge, pedagogical expertise, and professional standards for teaching, practice, and proficiency. And in the school administration and supervision career line, it shall consider organizational and managerial effectiveness in terms of productivity, performance, utility, and efficiency. And the DepEd, of course, shall formulate a clear guidelines on assessing those teachers seeking promotion. The standard-based assessment process, I think in the proposed bill of the House is should be an independent, not from within the no. But since the Teacher Education Council is also mandated to affirm career stages, that area can be given to them so that we will no longer be creating new body for an independent center that would ensure the implementation or administration of the standards-based assessment. And that is, I think, covered in the functions of the TEC. So, of course, the accreditation of teachers, we strongly support that because that is also consistent with RA 11713. And for remedial, this is also very critical. We have been saying that probably not all are cut into being a teacher. And so Dr. Jenny is also smiling because this has been the matter of discussion that we had when we were crafting the PPST. So we propose that teachers shall receive professional development programs to improve their competencies, and those who fail to pass or who failed in the standards assessment through the comprehensive teacher accreditation for 2 consecutive assessments shall be required to undergo a remedial program. And for purposes of this act, the National Educators Academy of the Philippines shall develop a special remedial program for said teachers in order to aid in their development. Further, to ensure the continuous improvement of the career progression system and enhance the right of teachers to professional advancement, the DepEd shall review, align, and continuously monitor the roles of the Teacher Education Council, the Bureau of Human Resource and Organizational Development, and the NEAP. This is consistent with Senate Bill number 2827, and of course, we would like to establish the strong collaboration between and among bureaus and services in the department, and of course with the role of the Teacher Education Council. So I think, yes.
You said, Cabral, after ba no remedial, are they expected to take the test again? Or hindi na po?
I think that would be a very big for teachers, given na pakukuha pa uli sila ng test. So I think after the test should be a continuing professional education, because we cannot settle on testing again and again, because that would be a trigger or stigma for the teachers.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So that we are approaching it more on the developmental manner. I think that's all, Senator. This is also contained in our position paper. We submitted it, and however, we are also open to other discussions in view of the statements that we have just shared this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yusek Cabral. Before we open the floor to questions to DepEd, we'll hear the comments of Dr. Jeannie Hoxton, the Executive Director of the Teacher Education Council, and so that we will have a full discussion on the career progression system, we'll allow Dr. Jeannie to give her comments.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, colleagues. From the Teacher Education Council, we fully support the directions of all of the draft bills that are now being presented. The career progression from the point of reference of the Teacher Education Council will support our teachers in 2 levels. One is the easier to understand, which is promotion, and that's movement across different positions with accompanying salary grades. But the other one, which is not as concrete and not as directly linked to any salary, but very critical nonetheless in terms of how our teachers are now burnt out, they're we're protecting our teachers every day in their job as to support the teaching and learning processes is the professional development. And that's where we are lacking in so many other concerns. The Teacher Education Council supports the directions of career progression development linking with the member agencies of the council with the Professional Regulation Commission in terms of strengthening the licensing and the registration of our teachers, with the Commission on Higher Education in the teacher preparation, that's the teacher education institutions with the TEIs, with our member agencies NCCA and TESDA in supporting and bringing strengthened programs supporting the formal pathway, which is the pre-service. In the Department of Education, there are 2 units that are linked with the Teacher Education Council in terms of the progression. One is the Bureau of Human Resource and Organizational Development for hiring, placement, and promotion, and the National Educators Academy of the Philippines for the professional development, including the induction program. There are 2 points Senator would like to fully engage in, because our role in the Teacher Education Council is the quality assurance. So the system on the career progression has been established within the Department of Education. We need more avenues to discuss with our member agencies, particularly PRC. But within DepEd, it has been established in terms of a framework, of a working framework. Minus lang po all the other details that should define and redefine the framework. But there are 2 points that would like to emphasize in terms of the TEC's direction for career progression for BHROD. That is the operationalization of a possible prioritization. Because in terms of promotion, I think DepEd must establish a system of prioritization, since we could not, or we may not be able to promote all of our teachers at a given time. Specifically, we are facing the mammoth problem of more teacher 1, about 400,000 of them in the latest data, at least in the data that I know, out of 900,000 teachers. So promoting teacher 1 to teacher 2 or to wherever they should be promoted in terms of merit is critical at this point, and the council would like to request for reports. No? But we are in coordination with BHROD. For the professional development, there are 2 points that we hope that NAEAP would immediately release. First is the professional development framework that captures consolidation of practice or career advancement. Time and again, we've noted the one-size-fits-all view on professional development, which is not working and will not work for the needs of the Philippines. So a need for that framework to be released immediately with our discussion. So we were ordered naman po to sit with NAEAP to be able to sort that out. But there are 2 concerns on the professional development. The data, although the Teacher Education Council hopefully will be able to release an interim data by Q4 on what we found out on what our teachers can do from the pre-service to the in-service. And we're looking at 2 critical points in terms of professional development and practice. And that is 1, consolidation of practice. Sometimes our teachers are given opportunity to grow and they grow immediately, but they lose the opportunity to consolidate wherever they are. So in terms of the practice that they're doing, say for example, they are teacher 1, the professional development is supporting them immediately to progress. But we're missing out on the context that they need to grow further within teacher 1. Because within teacher 1, we can further unpack that we have teacher 1 who are operating on a low level of teacher 1 and a higher level of teacher 1. If you translate that in terms of students, our students may be categorized as a slow learner, but within slow learners are different aspects of needs. Some of them, in terms of reading, may be needing additional materials, but some of them may be needing only additional practice. That goes the same with teachers, hence consolidation of practice. The other one is career advancement, and this is where the tricky part on the council, the Teacher Education Council, to support all the member agencies, but particularly NAEAP, to fully understand. The career advancement does not fully entail teacher 1 to teacher 2 position, but the advancement in terms of career stages. And within the professional standards, Mr. Chair, the professional stages would require several positions in one career stage. So you might be moving from teacher 1 to teacher 2, but you're still in one career stage. And that's a critical component to fully define in a professional development. Finally, Mr. Chair, the Teacher Education Council has approved the working framework of the teacher career progression, which I think the committee has a copy of. And this is what we will fully utilize to define further the roles of the member agencies that includes within DepEd, BHROD, and NAEP. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that questions.
Mr. Chairman, baka hindi ko alam who has the data, baka si Yusek Cabral. Meron ho ba tayong data? Ilan ho ba yung mga teachers natin? For example, dun sa teacher 1, ilan na ho dun yung ready for teacher 2, but because of, I guess, budgetary constraints or walang available vacant position, may data ho ba ang DepEd?
Yes, Senator. However, we have a very conservative target for 2025 in the implementation of the EO 174. We just targeted 90,310 for 2025, and that is based on the performance result for the previous year. So out of the, say for example, for teacher 1, we have 321,761. That's the total number of teacher 1. So if the career progression promises that no teacher should be retiring as teacher 1, out of the 90,000, we targeted 30% of that, at least moving to the teacher 2, which I think that was Dr. Jenny was mentioning, kasi they might be still at the beginning stage, but are demonstrating certain standards for a career stage 2. These are the ones who can be promoted. Yeah.
Pero Yusek Cabral, ano lang ho yan, di ba? Parang it's your target. But do you have a study na, for example, out of the 300,000, ilan doon yung talagang pwede na ma-move on to the next level?
Use our RPMS result.
Kung
Yeah.
walang budget is not a problem, the position is available.
Yeah.
Baga, in the ideal setup.
In the ideal setup, this out of the individual performance commitment and review form, meron po tayong about 90 or 100, close to 100,000 na po pwede nang ma-promote. But however, that target for 2025 is just 10% of that, given the budget constraint. So to answer, the quick answer is that using at least the results-based performance management system that we have and establishing a certain career stage, meron po kaming madadampot na mga teachers na po pwedeng mag-undergo. In fact, what we're trying to look at is there should be some soft and hard barrier so that teacher, I think, at least the top of my head, which I also discussed with the secretaries, that teachers need not be burdened of applying. If we can establish that they can be promoted from teacher 1 to teacher 2, then we do that within the system.
So parang yung Yusek Cabral magiging proactive
Yes po.
yung ano nila
Ang promotion, yes. Because that's how we can retain the best talents. Yeah, I think there are lots of things to do for now, given that we're just establishing or implementing the initial year for the career progression. But this is how we see it. But as to the number, we can make use of the existing mechanisms and system, and along the way, provide opportunities for professional and career advancement.
Mr. Chair, siguro baka there's also a need to study kasi since parang 10% lang of the need, at what year magkakaroon ng catch-up na parang lahat, yung career progression nila, tama na yung panahon para ma-promote sila. Because, di ba, 10% lang yung kaya nilang i-promote. So, may X number na ready na, pero hindi na po promote. So, parang lagi, every year, lagi tayong maghahabol ng maghahabol. But, di ba, at some point, dapat wala nang ganun eh. Yun lang po, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Yusek.
Just to add that, because I mentioned this, the 10% is very conservative for 2025. We cannot target much of that. Baka naman kami yung kulangin ng ano. But however, for the 2026 and onwards, given that we're establishing, medyo informed na po yun, alam na namin, that be 33% of the existing, ano, at least for the initial implementation, medyo nandun kami sa conservative mode. But in the ensuing years, we will be able to have an informed target based on how many are actually moving from one stage to the
But
next.
for your budget next year, na incorporate nyo na this 90,000.
Yes, ma'am. The total actually is 6 billion, and the 49,000 items was based on the backlogs of the previous year. So I think I know where you're coming from, because the 2024 backlog will be accommodated in 2025, and that's part of the 6 billion budget. And the remaining, the initial 90,000 will form part of the total 6 billion. So meaning to say, that's why I'm saying that's more informed, because we were able to look at the backlog of 2024, add 10% of the target for 2025, and we are confident by 2026 we can have a more general and targeted number for reclassification. Moving forward, we can use that experience so that we can detail how many can be promoted in a given fiscal year.
To Senator Binay. I want to ask some basic questions first, no, before we call on the other resource persons here. And we're fortunate that we are joined by different groups in the education sector. So my first question, Yusek Cabral, and si Dr. Jeannie can also join in, is there's already EO 174, correct? And this EO 174 basically expanded the career progression system, no? So that the promotions will be as smooth as possible. And I understand that a few weeks back there was a signing, an event to sign the IRR, no? So in short, this is now being implemented. Is there a need to institutionalize it? Because the bill, all of the bills that are now being talked about, and including the House bill that was transmitted here, calls for institutionalization. So in other words, the Executive Order 174 will now be institutionalized. And of course, institutionalization is more concrete in terms of lawmaking. It's in terms of hierarchy, it's higher than the executive order. So is there a need to institutionalize the career progression system as described, as mandated by Executive Order 174?
Basically, Senator, that's the very reason why we support all the bills, because it will have the effect of the law, and institutionalizing it would rather provide clear direction for the department on how our teachers can be given, and all other positions can be given sort of direction, and baka ma-address na din namin yung attrition at some point.
There's a downside to institutionalization. It's very hard to untangle. If you notice in some of the laws that we are discussing currently, and some of the laws that we passed, for example, in mother tongue, which was enshrined in the K-12 law, after 12 years of struggle with that feature, we had to come up with a law to remove that, and that took time. In fact, here in the Senate, the process of discussion and research took almost 2 years. no, in order just to remove that particular feature in the K-12 law. So my point there is, yes, there's beauty in institutionalization, meaning there's stability in the policy. We signal to our teachers that this will be the law for the next many years until it's rescinded. But in terms of flexibility, it removes that flexibility from the department and also from TEC, no, for that matter. So that's the point I'm trying to make. No? Unlike an executive order, all you need to do is the president to amend that or to revoke that. Then you have that executive order can be revoked. But since we're now making it into a law, do you see any danger in institutionalizing the career progression system? Meaning coming up with a law for the career progression system? Or this will be, you see this as a permanent career progression for the next many decades?
I don't know if I will.
Baka ayaw ko kasi mangyari after 5 years, ay mali pala tayo. No? Kailangan ayusin natin. Napakahirap po gumawa ng batas. No? Coming up with the law is really very difficult. No? Untangling a law is another difficult activity. No? So again, there's pros and cons in institutionalization. An executive order is much more flexible for that matter. The law is much more stable, but then again, it removes that flexibility. So I want to ask first our implementers. At the end of the day, you will be implementing this, especially TEC. No? So do you see any danger, any downside in coming up with a law rather than coming up with an executive order?
Well, probably I will not be around by the time that there will be questions. Baka 10 years. But what I am saying is, one, since we have alignment on that based on EO 174, but I do understand that that can be changed on the untangling issue. I think that's one. However, with the inclusion of the other career line, which is supervisor, I think that completes the picture. And I don't know if we can request for another executive order citing that. But with respect to the provisions that are actually stipulated in all of these proposed bills, these are consistent and aligned. So what we are looking forward for the next 10 to 15 years. So I think while there is danger, this is the demand of the present time. And in fact, some of our reference or legal documents that we follow are even older than me. Like the Executive Order 500 on the Master Teacher 1 to 4 and so on. These were executive orders that were not touched for quite a while. And we were implementing it up to this time prior to EO 174. The same thing is true with the position classification and compensation. This has actually changed the landscape. So it is supported by law. From a positive perspective, I would say that institutionalizing it for the next 10 to 20 years, baka naman hindi pa ganun kalaki yung problema. At least, this is based on our study as well, that the teachers in the Philippines, we are the best in terms of entrance or entry-level salary grades. But we are being left out by other countries in terms of progression. So that affects the motivation and the job satisfaction of teachers. If this can happen now, and we can implement it, year 174 IRR by 2025, at least all those remorse na nangyari before can be corrected, can be changed, can be modified, and we are able to provide that experience for our teachers to have that promotion not in 15 or 10 years, but probably on the way they are able to challenge themselves to achieve those standards and career stages. That's my take on a positive perspective. There might be changes along the way. Baka may mga demands, but for now, we know that there can never be some future proof in terms of what we do right now because things are really changing rapidly. But of course, for the benefit of our personnel in the department, I see it as a good opportunity, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. How about Dr. Jeannie? Any comment to that? It's a big fundamental question that I want to put on record so that 10 years down the road, baka sisihin tayo na bakit yung institutionalize yan? To be honest about it, some of the concepts, mother tongue in particular, it's a concept that should not have been included in the law. So to give the department the flexibility, whether you want to implement it or not, it's up to the department. But if it's in the law, you have no choice but to implement it, good or bad. So learning from that process, I want to first ask the department because we don't want, after many years, they will be looking at us without asking this very basic question. So, Dr. Jeannie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. From the Secretariat's end, sir, the institutionalizing career progression is elaborating RA 11713. The law of the Teacher Education Council states that the career progression, the quality assurance of everything, all details of the career progression is lodged in the council. The bills that we are now discussing are looking at the middle part up to the end part of that career progression that is lodged within the Department of Education. But the Teacher Education Council is also taking care of the preliminary and other aspects of progression of our teachers, which actually begins in the teacher preparation. And that's our work with the Commission on Higher Education, with the Philippine Regulation Commission, with NCCA, and with TESDA. So the bills that we are discussing, Senator, are actually supporting that particular law on the affirmation of career stages. So we support institutionalizing it. Plus, the important part of the bills, at least from the chair's bill, is the inclusion of the supervisor, which is part of the administration track, which from the council's perspective is completing the cycle of our teachers and school leaders, because our teachers either could stay as teachers, move to the administration track either as a school head or to the supervisor. So that completes the cycle, Mr. Chair. So the Secretariat representing the council is supporting the institutionalization, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. I have a basic question again. In the proposals, the head teacher will be eventually retired, eventually, and because the proposals call for a teaching career line, administration career line, or a supervisory career line, at least in my proposal. So the head teacher will be removed because the head teacher performs, if I'm not mistaken, from my understanding, administrative work and also teacher work. So that function or that position will be removed already eventually. You see no need for that in the next few years or the next many years. Again, baka, my thinking of that is we might be saying that, maybe after 15 years, kailangan pala natin tong position na ito, but we completely remove that in the law, no? So, so as early as now, we want to understand from DepEd that this type of position, this position in particular, will no longer be needed in the future, and as well as those tracks, the 3 tracks that we are talking about, will be the ultimate tracks or the direction that DepEd wants to take from now till in the future. And then we'll call on si Mr. Rosa Rial later on. And then Mr. Benjo on those questions. Fundamental questions muna ito, no? So before we go into the details of the bill. Go ahead, Yusek Willie.
Yes, sir. Actually, meron din, simula nung maging teacher po ako, nalilito ako. Kasi may teaching related at may non-teaching. Tapos, meron kang career, meron kang school administration. When I become a teacher, I was asking, ano ba yung teaching related? In fact, some of the teaching positions on some of the teaching related positions are actually non-teaching in other organizations. So this sort of like provide confusion. Now, as to whether we would like to retain head teacher 1, 2, 3, the problem with all this structure is that even if the DBM guidelines provide that there should only be one switching of career line, the absence of opportunities for promotion is that a teacher 1, after reaching teacher 3, will move to head teacher just to get promotion. And then, once there, already, babalik siya sa master teacher kasi mas mataas na yung sweldo ng master teacher kaysa sa head teacher. Functionality-wise, hindi mo rin ma-distinguish yung ginagawa ni head teacher at saka ni master teacher. Instructional supervision, preparation of class programs. In schools where there are no head teachers, these are functions being performed by the master teacher. In schools without master teacher, but headed by a head teacher, because the requirement is that for every 6 there must be one head teacher, or for every 6 there must be master teacher. There seems to be duplication of that. Now, in the career prog, we're seeing it like from the perspective of a school leader, knowing instructional supervision and administrative, the mandate of the school is really to produce quality learning outcomes. But that area is considerably being left out along the way because you focus on governance and administration because there is public accountability in terms of finance and other public issues. But naiiwan to run. But when the school head is given that opportunity to master at least on the instructional supervision as part of their leadership roles, mas okay na maging principal yan because that person could be considered as a no-excuse principal, knowing all of the rigors and the nuances of teaching and learning, and as well as looking at the resources. So ang tingin po namin is that kung ikaw ay mag-decide na mag-school head or to proceed with the teaching career line, at least yung master teacher ay good landing point. And at that point, while you are not appointed as a principal, you can be designated as principal. In some schools, particularly in NCR and other big cities, there were designations made by the principals that this teacher is designated as assistant principal. It does not bear any recognition because the designation and appointment should emanate from the school's division superintendent. Pero ginagamit na po yan. Many of the schools, may mapupuntahan tayong school, ano pong posisyon ninyo? I am a teacher 3 but I am designated as assistant to the principal. That way, hindi naman po yun masama because you are actually preparing those people with potential. So sa career po, baka ang tingin ko, kung may duplication, redundancy of the work, at hindi mo rin ma-distinguish. Could you imagine? An assistant principal is salary grade 18. Tapos yung head teacher is also a salary grade 18 in the secondary. May distinction pa rin, Senator, kasi. Pag elementary, ang head teacher is considered as a school head. Pag secondary, the head teacher is considered a department head. And at some point, the department head in the secondary is assigned to an elementary to become a school head. So parehas lang din po yung ginagawa. So ako ang tingin ko is while there is a window or a transitory period within which head teachers can decide whether to proceed with a teaching career line or a school administration career line, maganda na po ang tingin ko ron. At meron naman silang window of 3 years under the IRR to decide for themselves. And as part of our recognition of the work done by the head teacher, even if they retitle themselves to appropriate teaching career line, we provided that they are still allowed to perform the same function, particularly in those schools without master teachers. So, parang ginagamit mo siya kasi parehas. That's my take, Senator, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Dr. Rosario.
Thank you, sir. Before I present my position paper, I would like to answer the question kanina. As department heads, if you are managing a school system with 5,000 to 7,000 students, kailangan talaga ang head teachers. Yung tanong ni Sir po na baka in the future, mahirap mag-manage ng school kung walang head teachers. Okay lang yun po kung maliit na school. So kami po sa National Association of Public Secondary School of the Philippines, I am speaking in terms of my experience. 37 years in the government service, 26 years as a school principal. So I would like also to give feedback on this. Mahirap talaga kung walang department heads or head teachers if you are running big school. Okay lang po ito kung maliit na school. So I beg, sir, please consider on this. Baka in the future, bigyan tayo ng mali pala itong ginawa ng committee before. So, ma'am, sir, talaga, kailangan talaga na ang mga head teachers. Ngayon po, ako po ay managing around 5,000 students. Ang mga department heads, they are members of the Back and Awards Committee po sa paaralan. At ang the principal po is the hope. Kailangan po natin yon. Sir, please allow me to read my position paper.
Dr. Rosarial, reserve that because later on we'll call everyone to
Okay.
echo your to read your position or to cite your position. But we'll on the question lang of institutionalization, let's limit to that first para we can do away with that basic question. Yeah, but
Noted,
later on
sir.
we'll give everyone a chance to voice their position. Benjo, any comment on that particular yung nasa institutionalization tayo?
Yes, sir. Maraming salamat po. Of course, now we go for the institutionalization of career progression policy. No, dahil lang meron po tayo ngayon is an IRR coming from a specific EO no, noong 2022 pa nga ito, medyo na-delay lang po na kaunti. But of course, no, I'd like to comment din on that specific matter po of head teachers. No? Alam naman to ng central office na, sir, with due respect no, sa aking boss kay Yusek Willie no, Cabral. Ang aming position po sana, no, pag na-institutionalize ito, hindi tanggalin yung head teacher position. No? At yan po ang dati pa namin hinihingi sa Department of Education, no? Kahit doon sa IRR, pero ang sabi nga sa amin, doon po kasi sa EO, on 7.4, wala namang binabanggit no, tungkol dito sa head teacher. No? And so, wala din namang sinasabing tanggalin no, ang head teacher. No? Pero doon po sa career progression, doon sa tracks, no, ay talagang nawala. No? So, baka po dito, nandito yung chance. Kasi hindi ko nababanggitin dahil mas may authority no, si Mr. Rosarial dahil siya ay principal. Ako'y teacher, classroom teacher, no? Pero ako po no, bilang nagturo po no, sa isang medium school at ngayon nasa isang mega school, alam ko po na napakahirap ng buhay ng principal kapag wala siyang mga department heads o mga head teacher. Kaya po sana yung career progression po na ito no, ay para sa lahat. No? Lahat ay makikinabang, walang maiiwan. walang madedemoralize, no? Dahil yun naman talaga ang layunin ng career progression. Of course, sir, we also have a statement, but later I will read it if time will allow. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The bills, if you look at, papakita ko na lang ito ngayon para we'll show this. But, mamaya na lang.
Ito, unedited, sir.
Yeah, okay lang. Sige. Sige, we'll show this. We made a graphical representation of SB 2827. Ito yung proposal natin. And it's very clear, no, that you have, if you work in the education sector, you have three paths, no? To remain as a teacher, to become a teacher and then move to administration, or move to administration, no? Of course, this is subject to change as we go along the discussion. But if and then the head teacher, if you look at the arrows, mawawala na siyang over time. So the goal here is very clear, no? To remain as a teacher, but you have now a career path or a career progression, even though you remain a teacher for the rest of your career. Because some teachers want to be a teacher, they feel that that's their strength, and they want to be a teacher for the rest of their lives. But we will give them a chance to progress in terms of career development and also in terms of remuneration. The same with school administration, the same with supervision. So very clear yung path niya. The head teacher, as I know it, and also what Yusek Cabral mentioned, became a sort of a position for career progression, no? For teachers. Naging career progression siya for teachers because wala nga yung teacher 4, teacher 5, teacher 6, no? And then babalik siya ulit sa master teacher 2, no? So it became a position where teachers vie for because of promotion. But at the same time, it distorts the responsibility because they're performing administration job but also some teaching job, no? So that's why the bills made it very clear, no, that you have only three paths that you can undertake: teaching, administration, and supervision, no? Wala nang in-between positions, no? So that is the proposal. Any comment, Yusek Cabral, to what Dr. Rosarial mentioned and si Benjo in relation to this proposal?
My experience as a school head and at the same time a head teacher at that, ginamit ko din talaga yung head teacher to get promotion from a teacher 3 to a head teacher 3. That's one. Pero kung ang tinitingnan ko lang po rito is that the journey to being a school principal, it takes time. You cannot build as a good school head from the time na gusto mo na lang. It should be built over time. As you shift from one position to the other, just to get into that, medyo meron tayong parang yung functions mo pabago-bago. So, yung expertise, yung mastery somewhat. And as to the other functions, I think this does not really entail position. It's a matter of function. So such function can be delegated to one person and without necessarily creating a position. And this is also consistent to what we're looking at by providing more administrative positions in the school by considering a number of, like for instance, you have 6,000 enrollment, and that is common in NCR. So you have corresponding number of teachers. So let our teachers do the thing of teaching and provide the school under a very comprehensive staffing and organizational structure where there is support for the administrative, both finance and personnelling. Yun po yung direction natin. So that for so long a time kasi, yung teaching, learning outcomes, hindi masyadong na-address po yan. Pero magaganda yung mga lumalabas na of what the school is doing. But it does not reflect. Baka kailangan yung talagang teacher quality ang matutukan. At yun lang yung kanilang ginagawa. Kung malagyan natin tao ng staffing complement ang mga schools to do the work which is being asked by the school heads, baka yun ang tamang sagot. Kasi biro ko lagi, when I was a superintendent, sa dami po ng ginagawa ng teacher, pagtuturo na lang yung hindi. Kasi ginawang coordinator ng ganito, coordinator ng ganyan. And I experienced that personally. That I have to rush through from one class to the other and perform another task. So, kumbaga, yung head teacher is a function na pwede rin gawin ni master teacher. In fact, doon sa ating the existing department order, kinonsider na namin yan sa teaching load. So, ibig sabihin, that's not an add-on. So, part na yun ang kanyang function. Now, kung makukomplement pa yan ng administrative support ng mga tao, administrative officer 2, administrative officer 4, depending on the typology and the size of the school, baka mas maganda yung direction. That's how I take it, sir.
In other words, the head teacher will be replaced by administrative staff in the future. That is the goal.
Yeah, for the administrative functions.
For the administrative
Yes.
functions.
Oo.
Yeah, for the administrative functions.
Like
So,
for instance, kung silang ginagawang property custodian for now, we would like to create administrative officer doing the property.
yung mga head teacher ba, they also perform that? Sometimes,
As maybe delegated because in the
property, mga property functions?
there are some, but not all kasi function nga po yan na you have to oversee that and so on. Pero that is the art of delegation eh. So pwedeng sabihin na head teacher, department head, you will be handling the school disaster risk reduction and management. That can be. So that's why I'm saying function yun. Function yun. It's not really the position.
Okay. And, but those functions are normally delegated to head teachers,
And for those without head teachers, even to teachers.
even to teachers.
So kaya medyo nakakalimutan yung yung ibang yung mandato.
So the goal now is to hire more administrative positions, administrative staff positions. That's the goal. Take into account the comments of, like for example, si Dr. Rosarial, the big schools. No, so the big schools will have more administrative staff.
Yes, sir. The full manpower complement would rather involve administrative assistant for the principal, administrative officer for finance, for administrative officer for the HR and procurement, all of those. So, kumbaga mako-complement natin yan. But I cannot promise na ganun siya kadali because laging meron tayong budget constraints. But that's the direction. Yeah.
All right.
By December, we'll be finished by the school organizational structure and staffing.
Well, going back to the question of institutionalization, for me, one of the best reasons to institutionalize a policy is it gives it, number one, stability, meaning no matter who is the president, that policy will be implemented. Number two, it sends a strong signal to our teachers and also to the beneficiaries of that policy that this policy will remain and it will not be changed. And as I observed when I was doing some research, this career progression has evolved to the better over time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from EO 500 to EO 174, and along the way there were also a lot of department orders. It evolved to the better over time. So in other words, where we are right now, is actually a good evolution. Umabot na tayo sa pinakamagandang evolution that we want to institutionalize this. Of course, we cannot prevent innovation in the future. Other leaders will have innovative ideas, but this proposal that we have made, including my proposal, is a proposal that came out of a good evolution of career progression, and we want to institutionalize that. No? And also, that's why we are also soliciting from our other stakeholders on how to further refine this to make it more forward-looking, because we also want that this proposal, this policy, will be forward-looking. No? Meaning, if we are addressing some issues that we are foreseeing, we already include that in this proposal. All right? So I have a few more questions, but I'll reserve it so that we can hear the comments of our other resource persons. We'll do the rounds. We'll now we'll start with our stakeholders. Dali lang ha. Sige, si Mr. Rosarial, we'll start with NASFIL. No, NAPSFIL. National Association of Public Secondary Schools of the Philippines. Yeah. We'll start off with sa inyo po, sir. Your comments on the measure.
Thank you, sir. May we share the National Association of Public Secondary School of the Philippines position paper with this biblical perspective. Please allow me. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sins and heal their land. As we pray and thoroughly study the Senate bill introduced by Honorable Senators Jingo Estrada, Honorable Lauren Legarda, Honorable Win Gatchalian, and Representatives Honorable Romulo Romualdez, Honorable Acidre, Honorable DepEd, and Honorable Rector et al. Concerning an act institutionalizing the expanded career progression system for public school teachers, the National Association of Public Secondary School of the Philippines Incorporated humbly presents the following position paper. Retain the best teachers in the classroom with the school's division superintendent's salary grade. Same policy of the state universities and colleges. Professor 6 is an equivalent to university professor. Upgrade salary grade of principals from principal 1 to principal 6. Please take note, this is an item untouched during the development. It was only principal 1 to principal 4, never touched. So miss, please consider this proposal seriously. Give representation allowance to principals depending on the size of the schools. With my 37 years in the active government service, with 26 years as school principal, mostly principals spend their personal money for school operation expenses, not covered by school maintenance and other operating expenses. I experienced it. And I would like to inform this honorable body, this 2024 Presidential Lingkod Bayan Award, ang paaralan ko po sa Mag-National High School received the Presidential Lingkod Bayan Award. That trabaho po namin ito and we experienced it very difficult talaga. Ladies and gentlemen, in this 19th Congress, the quality of education of Filipino learners depends in the classroom. The action is in the classroom. Therefore, it is imperative to support the teaching learning action in the classroom. The National Association of Public Secondary School of the Philippines appeal to our senators and congressmen of this 19th Congress to earnestly support our classroom teachers and for the immediate passage of this position paper. In doing so, we are investing the heart of education system, the Filipino teacher. God bless us all.
Thank you, Dr. Rosarial, for that very passionate and bombastic speech. Thank you very much for that. We'll take note of your position paper, and some of the items that you mentioned are items that we are already discussing in the Basic Education Committee. The Basic Education Committee discusses all the matters related to basic education, and some of those items that you mentioned are indeed the center of our discussion. So we will take note of that. Take note of your comments. We'll call on Mr. Joel Lubis of the Philippine Schools District Supervisor Association.
Hi, good morning po, Mr. Chair. On behalf po ng PSDSA, nandito na po yung aming President, Mr. Sergio Cabrera po, will read our petition.
Yeah.
Mr. Sergio
Call on
Cabrera.
Mr. Cabrera.
Good morning po sa ating lahat, and I represent the 2,560 district supervisors across the country. Our position paper on the Senate Bill 2827, an act of institutionalizing the career progression system for public school teachers and appropriating funds, therefore, is fully supported by the district supervisors because yours truly came from teacher 1, teacher 3, head teacher 2, principal, now as a district supervisors, 30 years in public service. This position paper presents a critical analysis to Senate Bill 2827 in particular, which aims to institutionalize a career progression scheme in the Department of Education, particularly in the terms of hierarchy of positions and equivalencies. This position paper supports the career progression of teachers of increasing of 2 salary grade, and thereby including the related teaching positions as proposed. Supervisors are categorized before they are teacher because we are promoted, now we are related teaching positions. The proposed equivalencies of positions in Section 7, such as Master Teacher 2 to Principal 1 and Education Supervisors having the same salary grade and equivalency, and likewise Public Schools District Supervisors to Master Teacher 3 and Principal 2, because I also became a Principal 2, are unaligned as proposed. It disregards the distinct roles, scope of work, and responsibilities of district supervisors and other supervisory positions. Ang district supervisors po ay umahawak po ng 10 hanggang 30 schools that was being managed by the school principal. Ang standard po ng isang district supervisors to have a school assignment is it's not just more than 15. But our Vice President handles 20. And in our restricting workshop 2 weeks ago, napatunayan namin na sobra ang hawak ng mga district supervisors na eskwelahan. That we ensure that schools align and comply with the standards and policies of our department. We therefore recommend an enhanced career progression of teachers without distorting the position and salary grade of district supervisors. Ganito lang po ang aming posisyon. Ang principal po, hindi na po nag-aspire ng district supervisor ngayon. Ito po ang katotohanan. At ang hindi po pumapasa na principal sa inquest ay napopromote ng supervisors. At ang dilemma po, ito ang principal for ite-technical assistance ni district supervisors. My God, hindi ka pumasa.
Bakit mo ako TTA? And you are only 2 years. 2 years ka pa lang na head teacher, tapos PSDS ka na, TTA mo ko. That's ironical on the part of Principal 4 and 3. We therefore recommend on this committee that the salary grade 23, which is vacant in the DepEd positions, could be the best position is district supervisors. Ito pa po, we also appeal na ibalik na po sana ang mataas na qualification standard sa district supervisors. Natanggalin na po ang head teacher, master teacher. Dapat naka 2 years as principal 2 at 4 years as principal 1 so that they can provide the best experience as a means of technical assistance. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Sir, I'll flash the, actually internally we discussed your concern. And will the proposed measures solve the comment that you made earlier, yung napropromote ka agad? Will this proposed measure solve it? Itong proposal natin, itong pinag-uusapan natin, this one, pakita namin sa slide. Ito kasi yung proposed measure. Will this solve the comment that you made earlier na napropromote sila kaagad?
Definite will not po. Kasi po ang narinig ko ngayon kay Yusek Cabral, there should be a career teaching line and administration line. Magme-merge po yung dalawa so that yung teacher na naging principal o yung teacher na naging master teacher because talagang nag-aspire siya will now going to her or his target which is the supervisory, which are the middle positions.
Sama.
So with that po, demoralize po ang ES, ang education from supervisor, madedemoralize po ang PS. Even the chief education supervisors that will be only having the SG23 and that the principal 4, high po mga principal 4, kayo po ang tugatog ng positions pagdating po sa SB 2827.
So what do you propose if you are given a chance to
Yeah po.
rearrange this ladder?
Apo, from teacher 1 po up to principal po, wala po, maganda po yan. Everybody happy. Pero yung pong SDS, Education Supervisor, sakto po yan sa SG23 sapagkat sa kasalukuyan po, wala pong posisyon sa DepEd except po yung BSA na Vocation School Administrators na wawala na, sakto po sila dalhin. So that ang principal po ay mag-aspire po ng supervisory positions. In my time as teacher 1, pinangarap ko po talaga maging district supervisors. At hindi po ako pwedeng teacher na pumunta ron. Kailangan po muna akong maging school principal. And therefore, yung mga principal po ngayon, pwede pa mag-aspire ng district supervisors if given a SG23. Meron na po ngayong distinction of roles and salary grade.
So yung PSDS will be moved to SG23.
Yes po.
Paano itong Chief Education Supervisor?
Sustain po siya. Kasi po SG24 po siya.
Okay. Meron kaming, actually we came up with a proposal. Can you flash that? Meron ho kaming internal proposal. We'll flash it. Dito ka na lang.
Sa career progression.
This one. What's your opinion on this proposal? We maintain the Chief Education Supervisor. Ito po, anong... and then in PSDS, we elevated it to 1 salary grade and maintain the EPS. Will this solve the comment that you made? Of course, subject to consultation with DepEd.
Sir, Mr. Chair, as supervisors, I think yung function ng EPS po, the same as in the public school district supervisors, nasa division, same as supervisors. So we recommend na din po na kung mag-move tayo yung PSDS na kasama namin, also the EPS.
EPS to what salary grade?
23, sir.
23.
So pareho sila.
Yes, sir. EPS and PSDS.
But their qualifications are different. Di ba? Mas mataas ang PSDS.
Yes po, that's true po. In fairness po, ang PSDS po ang pinakamaraming provisions of the law like RA 925, RA 72160 sa local school board na nagpe-perform po na malayong-malayo sa performance po ng EPS.
Correct, correct. So that's why there's a distinction in our proposal. This is an internal proposal. We made a distinction in terms of salary grade between EPS and PSDS. Is that something that you think it's workable?
It's very workable po. At the same time po, yun po talaga yung pinaka-rational na kahit paano mag-aspire po ang mga best teachers and best principal for the supervision that we entail for the learning outcome assessment. Likewise, yung take place of the learning teaching in the instructional supervision.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. So we'll call on Dr. Jocelyn Fernandez of PESPA.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My partner just went out for an errand. But in behalf of her, as her partner, I'm Mrs. Romualdez, who's part of the executive board of the PESPA. I'd just like to comment on the issue that raised by our group of PSDS. As I do understand, in terms of the description of work or the kind of the performance, what do we perform? Yours is more on the supervision. Us, we have a double, triple terms of responsibilities. We do instructional, we do supervision, and we do also administrative, and it's at with the governance. So if you're looking into the 23 as a level, we do also would love to have that kind of increase. But well, this is all proposals, so we would like also, Mr. Chairman, to air our position of the Public Elementary School Principals
Yeah, go ahead,
Association.
go ahead.
Allow me to read the position paper of the school principals of the elementary. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that our department is doing a good thing for all the people working the Department of Education. I, for one, and the rest of the members of the association support the career progression of the Department of Education. We have a little talks with the people working with it, especially that of the USEC Cabral, and we have even given a sort of information of our concern. But we would like also to put into a record that this is our concern in the field, from Luzon down to Mindanao, and as part of the group, I'm representing the Mindanao area. So here's one of the concern that we would like to be addressed, concern on the progression. One is the workload and risk. Principals Association have expressed concern that the current career progression framework may not adequately compensate principals for their increased responsibilities and risk. But this was already answered directly by our USEC Cabral. Second, disproportionate workload. Principals often handle administrative tasks, supervisory duties, and instructional leaderships, which can be overwhelming. And at the same time, with the section 7 of the proposed, it had also come into us experience that it could have been the limited career growth. Principals may feel that the career advancement opportunities are limited, leading to, might be, stagnation. If our teachers are also frontliner of our department, we too also. Because let's put into a system, the public school principals are directly in charge of the school heads, while the school heads are directly responsible of the teachers within the organization, the school level. So in terms of the difficulty and the risk, it's always relies on the school heads of the principals itself. Kaya po yung pong hinihingi din nila PSDS is also what we are also pleading for, if there is still a consideration that the proposal will also be revisited. Let's face it, commonly we always say, That was your choice, and you are there to perform. But remember, we're also looking for a consideration that equal work, equal compensation. And we do hope, Mr. Chairman, will also be given a consideration for us to progress. If we are looking forward that our teacher will be up, dalahin na po natin lahat. So we could work equitably, and we could give also a good equality and equitable education services to our learners. Sabi nga nila, pag hindi gumagana ang eskwelahan, ang nakaratay at namamatay ay ang school principal. We are the captain of the boat, and we should also be given such consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We call on Mr. Benjo Basas of TDC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, ulit. Mixi lang po, no? And we have submitted po yung isang longer version. The Teachers Dignity Coalition supports the career progression bills currently under discussion in the Senate. This legislative proposal, specifically Senate Bill numbers 678, 2827, and 2831, aim to expand career opportunities for public school teachers by creating additional teaching positions from Teacher 1 to Teacher 3 to Teacher 1 to Teacher 7, and MT 1 to 4 to MT 1 to 5. This initiative aligns with our collective goal of advancing the professional growth of our teachers. The TDC also acknowledges Executive Order number 174 and its implementing rules signed on July 26, 2024, which closely mirror the goals of the current legislative proposals. However, concerns have been raised, particularly regarding the dissolution of ed teacher positions. We urge the DepEd and Congress to address these concerns and ensure that the career progression of all teachers, including those in supervisory roles, is protected and enhanced. The TDC proposes the following recommendations to be considered in the expanded career progression bill being crafted by Congress. Number 1 po, implement gradual salary progression through regular increments as mandated by the Magna Carta for teachers. But of course, we appreciate po the version of Senator Gatchalian dahil meron tong upgrading na version. Consistent with your Magna Carta amendment version, sir. Thank you for that. Kaya hindi ko na binanggit dahil mahaba masyado yung part tungkol sa salary at nasabi na ni Congressman Rosarial. Ni Dr. Rosarial. So, number 2 po is to provide free postgraduate education for teachers to qualify for promotions. Yung education po ay napakalaking factor dun sa promotion at dun sa QS ng Department of Education. Number 3, remove the limit on the number of master teachers, allowing all qualified educators the opportunity to be appointed to such positions. Sa ngayon po, limited. So, binanggit po ni Yusek Cabral, 1:8. Napakahirap po nun. Paano kung lahat naman sila ay qualified, lahat naman sila ay magagaling at dedicated teachers? Isa lang ang pwedeng maging MT. Give priority to teachers with extensive experience, particularly those who have served in remote or underserved schools within the merit and promotion system. It has been our position and advocacy po ever since, na yung mga teacher po na nasa malalayong lugar, yung mga nasa bundok, talagang walang chance na ma-promote dahil hindi naman sila makapag-aral and hindi nila maiwan yung kanilang mga tinuturuan dahil sa dedication. And yet sila yung hindi nabibigyan po ng ganitong pagkilala in terms of promotion. And number 5 is strengthen the supervisory track by maintaining and increasing the positions and salaries of head teachers and other school leaders, consistent with the position of the EPS and PSDS. We are committed to engaging in this legislative process, and we trust that the voices of teachers will be heard and valued as we work toward shaping the future of education in our country. We remain optimistic that the passage of the expanded career progression bill will bring about meaningful reforms for the teaching profession. We would also like to reiterate that all education plans and programs must take into consideration the socio-economic condition of teachers, as they are the single most important factor in education. In closing, Mr. Chair, let me repeat the quote from our chairman: the quality of education cannot surpass the quality of teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjo. Baka magdilang ang Helka, maging congressman si Dr. Rosarial. Baka. We'll call on EdCom. Let me just get the Kay. We recognize Kay for to represent EdCom for their comments.
Magandang umaga. Mr. Chair, allow me po to share a few slides, if that's
Go ahead.
okay. Yeah. So we are grateful po to have this opportunity to share our insights and initiatives on career progression. Next slide, please. In the Philippine Constitution, it is stated that the state shall assign the highest budgetary priority to education and ensure that teaching will attract and retain its rightful share of the best available talents through adequate remuneration and other means of job satisfaction and fulfillment. How to attract the best, how to retain talent are actually questions that we ask in our priority area on teacher education. Next slide, please. So EdCom has priority area 18 on in-service training and development. And this priority area has 3 components. So first, we have teacher welfare, ensuring adequate salaries and benefits. And na-mention na ito ni Yuse Cabral, ensuring na nare-reduce natin yung administrative and ancillary load ng ating mga teachers so that they are really able to focus on teaching. And this is something that we've been seeing again and again sa mga consultations ng EdCom. Yung mga teachers, gusto talaga nila magturo, pero they do not have the time, the energy to do so because of the other tasks that they are doing. Pangalawa, teacher training. Mahalaga na mag-establish ng professional development programs that are relevant to our teachers and that support them in their movement across the career stage curriculum. Pangatlo, and ito yung topic natin for today, is teachers' career progression. So, importante na merong clear options at saka clear pathways yung mga teachers natin to advance in either the teaching career line or the school administrative line. Next slide, please. Ano yung mga findings ng EdCom 2? Una sa lahat, ang previous career progression system ay may mga challenges. Kasi limited yung availability ng plantilla positions natin sa schools at saka sa SDOs. So ito parating nasasabi ng mga teachers, school leaders, kahit na nagka-qualify sila for the master teacher position, dahil limited ang plantilla positions, they are not able be master teachers, even if they are qualified to do so. And yun, nare-restrict nga yung kanilang mobility. Pangalawa, apart from that, yung limited yung ating positions, we also have the quota system established under the Position Classification and Compensation Scheme, PCCS. And we can see on the next slide, ano yung mga quotas na ito. So sa elementary schools, master teacher positions were capped at 10% of total teacher positions, 6.6 sa MT1, 3.4 MT2. Sa secondary schools, we have a similar one master teacher position per subject area for every 5 to 7 authorized teacher positions or teacher 1 to 3. So nahihirapan talaga yung teachers kasi dalawa yung bottlenecks mo. Kulang ang positions mo, at saka, yun na, meron ka mga quotas. So kung gusto mo magstay sa pagtuturo, for example, nawawalan ka ng choice. So either magstay ka lang sa current position mo, you leave the teaching profession, or you transition to principal supervisor roles. And this is very important. It may lead to potential loss of quality teachers mula sa ating mga classrooms na heart of teaching and learning. Next slide, please. From a previous teacher career progression study, nakita natin merong teacher 3 gap. So the entry-level position for all teachers is teacher 1 or salary grade 11. Pero based sa data natin, it takes an average of 15 years for a teacher to be promoted from teacher 1 to teacher 3 or salary grade 13. So from SG 11 to 13, average na 15 years. So that's a very long time. And on the next slide, makikita natin, kapag umabot ka na ng Teacher 3, you can see at the bottom of the slide, so Teacher 3 ka na, SG 13, yung options mo ay kulang. Halimbawa, kung gusto mo magstay sa pagiging teacher sa classroom, na-mention na natin yung ating mga quotas, meron ka ring absence of intermediate teacher positions. And yun yung nabanggit na yung mga head teacher positions, yun yung nagsuserve as that. So, ang nagiging choice talaga ng mga teachers natin is to go to yung either head teacher, 1, and so on. Next slide, please. So, what are our aspirations for teachers? First of all, gusto natin walang single teacher na magre-retire at Teacher 1. Pangalawa, teachers should be given career options between classroom teaching and school administration. Related to this, teachers' career path should allow them to remain in the classroom. And ilang beses natin ito paulit-ulit na sinasabi kasi talagang yun nga teachers ang heart ng ating teaching and learning. And as we know, marami tayong challenges right now regarding teaching and learning. Kailangan mabigyan natin ng assurance ang teachers that they can stay in the classroom while advancing in stature and compensation. Pang-apat, teachers' career advancement should be based on quality of teaching practice. Pang-lima, recognizing the need for consistent professional development. And so what is our collective response? Next slide, please. Ano yung ating strategies? Para sa una, reclassification as a primary means for promotion, making promotion faster and self-paced. Pangalawa, clarify and rationalize career paths for teachers. So once nag-reach na ang teachers natin ng MT1, they can really choose. Gusto ko ba magstay sa classroom or do I want to take the admin path? Pangatlo, create new positions in the classroom teaching career line. Dito na pumapasok yung Teacher 4 and so on, thereby providing more opportunities for promotion in the teaching career line. Pang-apat, uphold teacher quality standards through competency and merit-based promotion reclass. And huli, nabanggit na rin ito, mandate the development of a special remedial program for teachers who do not meet the competencies or who do not reach the standards para makaka-advance pa rin sila and ma-address natin yung kanilang professional development. So finally, ito ang ating legislative initiatives ng ating mga EdCom commissioners. And all of these initiatives share the features of the collective response I mentioned earlier. Siguro as a closing statement, I would like to say na although yun nga, meron tayong IRR of EO or of EO 174, gusto talaga nating ma-institutionalize ang expanded career progression. We want to send that strong signal to our classroom teachers that should they wish to stay in the classroom, should they wish to master yung pagiging teacher, yung pagtuturo, they can do so and they can certainly advance in doing so. Maraming salamat po.
Meron bang teacher nagre-retire, Teacher 1?
Yes po.
So all
Meron ba? Lumtik na natin siya, 4%.
so meron so all their lives hindi sila na-promote? O ayaw nila ma-promote or hindi sila na-promote?
Some of them are actually staying as Teacher 1 because under the reclassification, 20 years in service is equivalent to 20 units. So, but they are receiving step increments up to a step increment 8. Yeah. May I just take this opportunity kasi while you mentioned about the quota, in fact in the EO 174, we proposed to the DPM the 1:3 ratio for hardship post so that the teacher shall not seek transfer from mountain school to central school to get promotion. Or 1:5 for other schools. so that the promotion is even open to all, whether you are situated in a central, a big school, a medium school, and so on. But the next discussion would be as to whether that ratio would be in consideration of learning area for the secondary, like for instance 1:5 for English, science, math in one school, and 1:3 for other schools, particularly the last mile or those located in geographically isolated and depressed areas. And for the elementary, I think we can look at case stages, because that's correct. Even the 6.6 and 3.4% is on a district-wide quota, which means is that if a district, based on the DBM position classification and compensation manual, if a district has a 180 teachers, then kailangan 18 lang yung iyong master teacher within the district. So that's why we propose. And I don't know if baka lang kasi in the institutionalization, baka naman hindi rin magkaroon ng flexibility given the budgetary constraints. But I think that discussion can be between us, DepEd, in the DBM, so that there can be sort of flexibility. Baka pwedeng, I don't know if that should be included as part of a provision of the proposed bill, pero baka medyo mahirapan on that part. Nakikita ko lang po yan. So, I think these are some of the considerations that in the subsequent issuance of department orders and the joint memorandum circular, without actually waiting for the issuance of these bills as a law, we will bank on what we are working with the AO 174. And then as I have said, these are actually aligned naman. So, yun po yung mga discussion. So, our effort and initiative for now are actually addressing some of the issues earlier presented. And in terms of the reclassification policy, we're also trying to make it rather smooth and seamless so that teachers can really have that agency to select which track they will be pursuing in their career. Thank you, sir.
But those teachers who retire at teacher 1, there's no automatic promotion for teachers.
We call that as automatic upgrading.
But in terms that's in terms of their yung
Into service?
no, it's step increments, diba?
Step increments.
But how about promotion to teacher 2, teacher?
Yes. Other than step increment is actually for the number of years.
Yes, correct.
But the automatic upgrading under the equivalent record form, they can be promoted to teacher 2. Yun din yung automatic upgrading. Na basta naka 20 years in service at na-meet moved out. Kasi sa reclassification, kailangan meron kang at least certain units of MA. Pero yung mga hindi talaga nakakapasok dahil malayo, this is covered by the automatic upgrading. Pero bihira po yan kasi nga just recently 2022-2023 we issued guidelines on the field by identifying those who are already 20 years in service occupying teacher 1 position, and we advise our regional directors to upgrade them to teacher 2 upon establishing that they meet the requirements for upgrading. Pero hindi po kasi meron din kasing mga teachers na sabi nila mas okay na ako na teacher 1. Meron ako mga kasamahan sa eskwelahan when I was a classroom teacher na ayaw nilang magpa-promote for some reason. So the participation actually, that's also a challenge for us in the implementation of the career prog. Because that's why I'm saying a while ago that we need to make it a bit easier for them, because teacher would not participate if they would be preparing these documents, collecting all of these MOVs and so on and so forth. So that's why I mentioned about hard and soft barrier. So within that T1 to T3, but when T3 to T4 next to the next stage, kailangan medyo hard barrier ng konti as you move within the progression.
Thank you. I'll expound on that later on, Yusek. We'll call on the other resource persons first so that we can have a livelier discussion. We'll call on Dr. Maria Manicio of, or Dr. E.R. Palomar of RITQ.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. The Research Institute for Teacher Quality supports the different identified legislative measures, more particularly on the discussion and elaboration or the utilization of the different professional standards such as the PPST, PPSSH, and PPSS, to the elaboration on the different key ideas and sections of these career progression bills. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That we'll call on. We also have colleagues from DPRC. So, Dr. Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Honorable Senator Gatchalian. We welcome very much these bills under discussion. Since 1994, when the teacher professionalization law was approved, it took 30 years before the principals and the teachers and the head teachers get the recognition that they deserve. Especially since in the law, the definition of teacher includes the principals, the supervisors, even the superintendents. So all these years from 1994, something is missing in our law. And now we're very grateful that the pieces are taking their rightful places. But there are also challenges to that, because I heard the discussion on what specialization should there be for those in the upper rank. And we've been discussing with the Director J.Lo of the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, that there are really two specializations which are coming out among our leaders. And these are instructional supervision and management. So there are what do you call, teachers, very qualified teachers who may not have the aptitude for management, but certainly they're very good in instruction. So therefore, these two can be dichotomized into the specializations of the school heads. So thank you very much for these bills, Mr. Senator, and we are in full support for the implementation of these bills. Thank you.
Thank you to PRC. Let me call on DBM, represented by Attorney Baraan.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and dear colleagues. First, we recognize the intention of the bills to promote professional development and career advancement among public school teachers. First of all, Mr. Chair, we note that the joint circular of DBM and DepEd on EO 174 is already with DepEd. And in that EO 174, we only have 2 lines po. Yung teaching and yung sa school principal line. So wala po yung supervisory line. So in that case po, we will have to still to further study po the supervisory line. And then on section 8 po of SB 2827 which proposes to increase the salary grade of teachers from SG 11 to SG 13. We note po that currently the funding for teachers amounts to 537 billion. And if mag-start po siya sa SG 13, the same would estimated amount po of 623 billion. And then we will have to have an additional funding po of 85.7 billion yearly po. Estimates pala, rough estimates po ito. And at the same time, baka po maggayahan yung mga similar positions po sa buong bureaucracy po. And of course, yung fiscal impact na apektuhan po ito. And then, based po sa study, yung mga private school teachers, mas malaki na po yung salary grades po ng public schools versus private schools teachers. And then, yun po. And then for the funding na po, we suggest po that the same will be subject to the usual budget process and proposal of the DepEd po. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Repeat that again kasi the proposal, at least my proposal, is to upgrade the entry-level teacher from SG 11 to SG 13. Diba? What will be the impact of that? What will be the budgetary impact? Because after that, of course, because this is a ladder, no? It will be the succeeding positions will also have corresponding increases. So what will be the impact of that based on your calculations?
Yes, sir. Our initial computation, sir, it will have an additional 85.74 billion budgetary requirement po.
This is for SG 11.
To 13, yung buo na po.
Yung buo na. SG 13 and onwards.
Yes po.
Okay.
Thank you po.
You also mentioned earlier, you mentioned a 600, what's that?
Yes, sir. If mag-start po sa SG13 yung teachers, ang annual budgetary requirement po niya would be 623 billion.
Okay, 623 billion for teacher salary, total teacher salary.
Ang current po kasi natin ngayon ay nasa 537 billion po.
But this 623 billion, this is the total na to include the entire, the other positions rin.
Yes po.
For the principal positions, master teacher positions and everything.
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Initial calculations po. Thank you.
Now go ahead, you said.
I have the same estimate in terms of budgetary or financial implication. Considering that we have 922 teacher 1 to principal 4, 922,322. The total requirement would be 634 billion, and that the requirement for the increase, if there will be two SGs added, that would be 85 billion in a year. So it's gonna be huge, and we compute that on the basis of the number of positions in each category. Like for instance, we say that we have teacher 1, 321,000 plus, teacher 2, 161, 345,000, na teacher 3, 2,121 na principal 4, principal 2 is 5,903. So on the basis of that computation, that would be the budgetary requirements for SG 30 and 589 for SG 12. That is factoring in the SSLL 6. So we base that on the computation for 830,000 entry level for teacher 1.
The budgetary, of course, will, as we go along to discuss this bill, will also discuss the budgetary requirements, and also will definitely consult with DBM and also the economic managers on this, considering that the amounts are quite substantial, no? 85 billion from DBM. In addition, not far from your computation, 80 plus billion in addition. So it's really quite substantial. Of course, my personal aspiration is to increase it at a level that is manageable. There are several requests from our teachers, principals, supervisors, and the other DepEd frontliners. We're trying to accommodate as much as we can. So it's a balancing act that we have to perform in order to balance the requirements of our national government, as well as the request of our frontliners, our teaching frontliners, including our principals, of course. So we'll update everyone on that matter as we move along the bill. All right. Okay, so
Mr. Chair,
yes, go ahead po.
I would like to suggest that we look at the anatomy of the schools in our country in terms of the geophysical features. Kanina po sinabi ni Dr. Marlito Rosario yung kanyang student population of 7,000, the same as the student population that time when I was the superintendent of Manila at Ramon Magsaysay High School and the other big schools in Manila. And later on, as director of Calabarzon and Mimaropa, nakita ko po kung ano yung sitwasyon ng mga eskwelahan. Para pong na-mention ni Yusek Cabral na yung hindi na kailangan magpunta yung mga mga teachers o principals na sa liblib na po para ma-promote sila. Para pong gusto ko pong magtanong, ano po ang ibigay natin sa mga hard-to-reach schools? How many schools, how many multi-grade schools do we have? How many combination schools do we have? What do we do to incentivize these teachers who are handling 3 classes in one school, teaching 3 classes in one school, and yet there's their teacher 1. Wala po silang administrative support. Wala po silang principal, wala silang head teacher. Sila mismo ang nagtuturo. Sila ang head teacher, sila ang supervisor, sila ang teacher. Nagtuturo sa klase. Yun po yata ay nakakalimutan o hindi siguro nakaligtaan na isama sa profile ng mga salary grade ng teachers. Anong salary grade yung teachers na ng combination classes? Anong salary grade yung teachers ng multi-grade classes? At ano ang learning outcomes sa assessment results ng mga learning outcomes ng ating mga estudyante nang nandoon sa mga peripheral areas? Di po yata nakasali o kung hindi man nakaligtaan, mayroong plano pa sila. Salamat po.
You said do you want to respond to that?
Well, of course, we would like to address on that granularization. However, we follow the same scheme because monthly salaries is based on SGs, and that applies across. But for those teachers assigned in multi-grade and the school is considered as hardship posts, they are actually receiving 25% of their salary, which is the school hardship allowance and all others. But automatic po yun na regardless of other parameters used in the declaration of the hardship index of a school. Like for instance, for a school to be multi-grade, automatic yun ay covered ng special hardship allowance without looking at whether other factors considered in the computation of the hardship index. Even on ALS, if the school has an ALS, covered na din po yan. So, we cannot really debate kasi parang ang hirap na salary grade 11 ka sa city, but when you are assigned in hardship post, salary grade 13 ka because that will also somehow make some distortion as to how we compute for that. So it's more of providing other benefits that is not covered under the salary.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Navarro.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I just want to say, in the recent conference called by PRC among ASEAN educators, we found out that they really follow the same method. Over and above, they give additional, what do you call that, honorarium for those assigned in the hitherlands. And so they are. We were surprised, but I think that's a very good methodology. Thank you, sir.
Actually, that just reminded me when we visited Vietnam. I think CK was there, no? EdCom visited Vietnam, and we had some interaction with their Ministry of Education. And as we all know, Vietnam is performing very well in PISA, no? About I think 2 to 3 times higher in terms of grades compared to us, while their spending per student is less than half of the Philippines. No? So that means they're spending less for their students, but performing much better than the Philippines. And one of the learnings that we picked up from Vietnam is they also the same. In fact, to promote education in the far-flung areas, the hinterlands, the mountains, they give free housing, board and housing, so that teachers will be incentivized to relocate themselves, you know, and work in the far-flung areas. So different countries, different jurisdictions will have different ways of incentivizing. But the main point here, it goes beyond the typical remuneration or salary that they are getting from government. Yeah, go ahead, Yusek.
Just to make another comment on qualification standards. No, it was mentioned earlier that you should go through a certain position prior to getting to another position. That is one actually of the many concerns that we would like to address, because our promotion system since then was position-based, which means that you cannot be a master teacher if you have not been a teacher 3 for quite a while. So in the context and in the idea of merit-based performance and competence, which it does not guarantee that you have been a teacher 3 for 3 years and you perform better on that. So parang hindi siya competency-based. Now, if you say that a PSDS should be a principal 1 or 2 for a number of years, experience lang. And then, makakalimutan natin yung equal opportunity principle. Kasi applicants from other agencies, private schools in particular, do not have the same nomenclature. So, you need to go through some equivalence. There might be, in fact, may aplikante tayo na director yung position sa private school, but applying for an education supervisor. So, gagawa ka pa ng while if it is on competence, so you are actually opening up that equal opportunity principle for all applicants and looking at the competencies. So, yun po yung mga inaaral natin on the qualifications for higher positions. At marami na tayong nagawa on that. So, finalizing na lang somehow na makita natin. But of course, it's not gonna be perfect because along the way, and that's the reason why yung flexibility, pag minsan department order, tinitingnan namin kung ano ang magiging implication over the years. So, those are some considerations dun po sana sa nagsasabi na baka kailangan dumaan sa principal bago maging district supervisor. But I do understand na yung mga yung principal dumaan siya sa qualifying examination, pero yung supervisor hindi dumaan. And I think that's also one area na pwede natin i-consider, Senator, kasi yung instructional supervision during the time of Director Heron, when I was one of her supervisors in the region, talagang pumupunta kami sa mga just to teach how to do supervision, classroom observation, how to do the post-conference and everything. So we just built the capacity. Pero ang problema is kung hindi nga nakapasa doon sa qualifying examination ng principal, hindi ma-appoint na principal pero nag-a-apply na supervisor. Kasi ang experience niya is either a head teacher or a master teacher. So meron siyang instructional supervision experience and so on. So baka not just a standard assessment for teachers, but for every position, I think. Kasi established na yung national qualifying examination for school heads. Baka yung position for supervisor, iniisip din namin na tignan ng sort of assessment. And then, the question should also be looking at kailangan ba master teacher ka? So that the staging area for all of these tracks, whether you proceed to teaching career line, supervisory career line, or school administration, is galing ka sa head teacher. Sa master teacher. So at least you have gone through the basic, where there is instructional supervision, where there is learning pedagogy, and there are leadership roles. Those are things that I think should be considered as well, Senator.
Thank you for that, Yusek, and please include that in your position paper. We welcome very much suggestions from the body on how to further improve the bill. So feel free to send us your position paper. Lastly, we have a colleague from the CSC, represented by Attorney Timbol. Any comments, Attorney?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and to all, everybody present. The CSC would like to express its full support with regard to career progression. In fact, the CSC is one of the signatories to the IRR of AO 174, and the DepEd has already submitted its proposed amendments to the qualification standards of existing positions, including the newly created about to be created positions, 5 po yun. So the Civil Service Commission will be coordinating with the PRC before finalizing the proposed QS of the DepEd po. So with regard to the Senate bills and House bills, with regard to career progression, earlier, Mr. Chair, you asked, would the institutionalization through the law would be more beneficial than having it through the executive issuance or executive order. I just recall that with regard to the faculty positions in state universities, they simply have national budget circular. And with regard to flexibility, as you have mentioned, they're able to revise actually their guidelines on how to avail of that. But maybe if we try to compare by the sheer number of the DepEd teaching positions and those of the faculty positions, ang layo po niya. That's the reason they could easily actually implement it. They had parang 8 cycle na po sila ngayon, and it's really based on the qualifications that our faculty members really acquire, that they're able to progress. Their careers really progress very fast compared to our DepEd teaching positions. But nonetheless, I think the law, as mentioned by Yusek Cabral, would be very beneficial as far as making sure that the very purpose or intent of the career progression will really be implemented as really desired from the DepEd themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. We also want to get a comment from Director Lynn Padillo of the Bureau of Alternative Education, because this pertains to our ALS teachers, no? And typically our ALS teachers, personally, when I talk to them, they feel left out, meaning they're stuck to just being an ALS teacher, no? So we took note of that and included that in our proposed measure. But we also want to hear from Director Lin on this aspect.
Good afternoon po, everyone. Mr. Chair, and of course to my colleagues here from DepEd. I would like to thank as well as what has been presented by DepEd. As teacher has been mentioned already to be identified as part of this institutionalization. But on the part of the Bureau of Alternative Education, we actually support these provisions on these bills that has been identified because it is part of RA 11510, wherein the law would like to ensure that all teachers are entitled actually to promotions to higher levels. The same based on the qualification standards set by the Civil Service Commission. And additionally, DepEd is tasked also with providing equal opportunities for promotion and fair compensation for ALS teachers. There are some instances in the field, as mentioned a while by Yusek Willie, wherein some ALS teachers are they're not left with any choice but to be promoted as master teacher in the formal system. So they have to leave their post as ALS teachers. So we would like that to be equal with ALS teachers and also the teachers in the formal system. So if enacted, these proposed measures would stand to benefit the 7,984 ALS teachers, significantly boosting actually their morale and motivation to remain as ALS teachers because they're given equal opportunity in terms of promotion. By ensuring career growth and recognition, these bills will enable us as teachers to better serve the learning needs of our out-of-school children, in special cases, out-of-school youth and adults. So the Bureau of Alternative Education believes actually that the passage of this bill will have a profound and positive impact not only on ALS teachers, but on all public school educators. So we really support this, and we find this very important also for our ALS teachers to really be identified, as mentioned, singled out already in the position paper of DepEd, as presented by Yusek Willie po. Thank you.
Thank you. But Director, will this, how will this bill specifically address the career progression of ALS teachers? Maybe let's backtrack a bit. No, what's the problem right now? What's the issue being faced by our ALS teachers? I know that they get stuck at teacher 3. Tama ba?
Yes.
Yeah, just elaborate to us, and so that we can capture it on record.
Currently, as defined, ALS teachers should be receiving the same benefit and the same promotion with the formal system teachers. However, in the field, as some experience by our ALS teachers, when the items emanate from as a natural vacancy from the formal system, they're given the choice to transfer to the formal system. So I think that's what's happening. But in fact, that could be given to them even they have to retain as ALS teachers. So parang yung kasi pong nangyayari ngayon, when the item as Master Teacher 1 emanates from the yung retiree ay from the formal system, they're up to transfer to the formal system so that they would get the promotion as Master Teacher. So yun po kasi ang nangyayari. Though kung titingnan, iba-iba po kasi implementation ng mga SDO, they consider that. We have also master teachers in the ALS who are given that opportunity to be promoted even if the item comes from the formal system. It was given to them and they remain in the alternative learning system po.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Yusek.
That's a good observation, but way back, there is no item created for ALS. In fact, ALS coordinator or ALS teacher are actually part of the regular allocation for the formal system. It's just a matter of designation. But we were able to address that by creating items specifically for ALS. So in 2023, we created 700 items for ALS. 2024, another 700. So which means that the agony as to assuming positions due to natural vacancy, that is in the formal system. So mawawala naman kasi yung formal system. But with the career progression under EO 174, we look at reclassification as the means of promotion, which means that you will be using the same item. So from a teacher 1, reclassified to a teacher 2, to a teacher 3, depending on qualifications, meeting that qualifications for certain position, it remains with the ALS. So there is no borrowing, loaning of items. So I think that it can be addressed even with the institutionalization of ALS, since we created items specifically for ALS.
There will be, for example, ALS Teacher 4,
Yes, sir.
ALS Teacher 5, and so on.
Yes, sir. Based on qualifications, it's the same. Kasi even, kasi meron po tayong sa ngayon na SNED, Special Needs. Meron tayong Special Science Education Teacher. With the implementation of the career prog, all of them will have the same title.
Okay.
The same type, the same equivalent positions. But as Special Science Education Teacher, SST, salary grade 13 po yan currently. So, dapat ang kanyang position is Teacher 3. Pero paiiwan po natin yung parenthetical title na siya ay Special Science Teacher just to make distinction with the rest. If you are a SNED teacher or salary grade 13 din po yan, so siya dapat ay teacher 3 because of the salary grade, but the parenthetical title should be well articulated in that item so that we can still make clear distinction whether you are a teacher 3 by reclassification in the regular position or a SNED, which is an entry level for special needs education. So these are part of some of the groundworks that we're also doing so that, claro. So the same thing is true with the ALS. Sorry.
You said, can an ALS teacher become a principal and supervisor?
They're
That
equal.
mobility,
Yes,
is
sir.
mobility available to
Yes, sir.
them?
That's an equal opportunity because earliest, no, even before, during the time of Director Heron, when I was a regional supervisor, there was an issue once for the equal opportunity for ALS, that they can be promoted from teacher 1 to teacher 2 to master teacher. So these are some considerations. I think moving forward, kasi laging sinasabi yung special, yung learn CLC, yung kapitbahay namin, CLC, si Community Learning Center, hindi natin alam kung baka kailangan din natin i-gawin siya na meron ding head. Something like that. Para somebody is looking also at ALS. Kasi yung Community Learning Center is the same to one school. To a school. Pero wala kang may turo kung sinong head niya. So, with the career progression, with ALS having its own item, it can be reclassified. An ALS teacher can be classified from teacher 1 to master teacher 1, even choose to manage his community learning center. So which is also equivalent to a principal. I think that's something that we can still move forward as we go through with this career progression.
Thank you, Yusek. Thank you, Yusek. I have some, again, I'll go back to basic questions lang so that we can discuss thoroughly the rationale and enrich the records. Right now, a teacher one, what is the process for that teacher to be able to be promoted? What is the current process right now? Yeah, go ahead.
There are two ways. One is when there is a natural vacancy of any position higher than that of T1. Say, for example, there is a natural vacancy which is a teacher 3 or teacher, since wala pa namang 4, so nandun lang siya sa T1, ay T2 to T3, or even master teacher. They can apply for that. Natural vacancy po yun. The second is submitting the equivalent record form, ARF, at ma-comply niya yung mga requirements doon. Then that is being submitted to the regional office. Meron tayong teacher credential evaluator, and then they look at the qualifications. Kung umasa siya, then the regional office will submit that to the DBM regional office counterpart and evaluate kung nagmamatch yung qualification required and submitted. And then the DBM will release the NOSCA, which is the notice of stopping organization stopping and compensation action, indicating that this item has been reclassified from teacher 1 to teacher 3. And then the issuance of the appointment is actually ministerial on the part of the appointing authority, because by civil service it defines that once the position of a teacher has undergone the reclassification process, the teacher has that inherent right to that position. So the issuance of an appointment is actually ministerial on the part of the superintendent. So that's how they are being promoted.
But they have to, the teacher has to apply.
Has to apply.
There's no, in sinabi ni Dr. Jeannie kanina, there's no automatic promotion
Wala
right
po.
now.
Wala po.
So it has to be, there's a proactive approach from the teacher.
That's what we're actually looking at with a career progression.
But in the career progression proposals, there's also no automatic promotion. We're not touching that.
I think they still have to apply for promotion, pero that's not yet covered in the paper. But I think baka po pwedeng hindi na i-touch on kasi there will be no flexibility on the part of the department if that is included as one of the provisions. But what I'm saying a while ago is that that's how we envision that, so that we can ensure that teachers can really move across that career line seamlessly and smoothly.
Any instance wherein a teacher will consciously not apply for a vacant position, they really want to stay in teacher 1? Is there,
Yes.
meron bang ganyan na scenario?
Meron po talaga, meron.
Okay.
Kasi, well, by reclassification or promotion, that entails increase in salary but also increase in responsibility. So, because that is how promotion is defined.
Our staff crunch some numbers, no, and we saw on flash that, like itong this is prior to EO 174, this one. So if you look at teacher 1, if you add the blue and the red, that's 21%. So meaning 21% of our teacher 1 teachers are have been working 11 years and above. For teacher 2, 44% have been working 11 years and above. For teacher 3, 65%. No? So my initial reaction to this is there are teachers working for teacher 1, there are teachers working 11 years and above, and probably until they retire. No? And then if you look at teacher 3, 65% have been working 11 years and above. Majority now have been working 11 years and above. So, ang punto dyan dapat, diba, in a perfect world, yung 11 years and above, pakonti ng pakonti because you go up eh. Diba? In a perfect world, I'm just saying in a perfect setting, those who are 11 years and above, the proportion per position goes down because theoretically you go up eh. No? But in this case, it's the reverse. The 11 years and above, the proportion goes up as you go up the ladder. And my initial reaction to that is because of the opportunities at the top becomes very limited. No? If you look at the master teacher, konti lang yung here in yung master teacher one, yung 8 years and below is only 10 years and below is only 8%. No, so in my analysis to that, dapat as you go up the position, yung mga matatagal kumukonti siya ng konti kasi you go up and up eh, diba? So and this is prior to EO 174, no? Because nga in yung sinasabi kanina ni Kay sa EdCom, yung teacher 3 trap, they get trapped at teacher 3. There's no room for teacher 3 to go up unless you become head teacher, no? Head teacher. So any comment to that?
There are instances as well naman that teacher 3 can apply for a master teacher 1 position. They can jump. We just provide justification as to the qualification of the appointee. But as to the ratio here is one limiting factor for this is the quota. I mean, if there is still a quota, that it should be 10% on the number of total teachers to be promoted, limiting din po yung promotion. That's why when we say that it should be merit-based, it should be open. As long as you are demonstrating that competence and the capacity to perform the work that you are applying, then the position should be available. Since it's no longer on the basis of natural vacancy but reclassification, so you build on that. The other thing is, kasi kanina pinag-uusapan natin yung salary grade dun sa equivalence, kaya hindi ka rin makapag-promote ng, kumbaga, may dead end na yung position kasi salary grade 24 o 22 halimbawa yung district supervisor. So kung hindi siya lilipat ng position to becoming a chief education supervisor, baka until he or she retires, nandun na siya sa PSDS. So parang isa yun din sa mga factors. Now kung
there a quota?
It's DBM guidelines, budget circular.
But what's the criteria to have a quota? How do you determine what the quota is? Availability of funds? Is that it?
I think that's also a budget concern. I really cannot explain on that because we just implement what was advised.
Do you know DBM? Because the quota is kumbaga, it's a limiting factor for growth. No? So that's why they cannot grow because there's a quota. No? So even though we have a career progression, but if they will put a quota somewhere, then there's no effect rin. There's not going to be an effect.
Mr. Chair, as informed po by our OPCCB, it is the DepEd which determines po the quota. Quota system. Sir,
So ano ba talaga? Kasi WSEC,
as stated po to be determined po by DepEd as in consultation po with the DBM. But I think one of the factors po is budgetary concerns. But as to the criteria po, it's DepEd.
There's a quota. How do you determine a quota? Yun ang aking question. What are the criteria to determine that particular quota, that particular number? Budget is one? Is it?
Well, that's one. That's one. Pero, well, hindi naman natin kailangan magturuan, ano, kasi bago ako naging teacher, nandiyan na yung quota na yan eh. Oh. Yeah. Kahit anong natin kay Sir Real.
Tama yun.
Congressman, ilang taon na ikaw sa service?
Yeah, but what do you, Kay, do you know? Let's call on Dr. Rosariel and then Kay.
Tama yun, sir. Tama yun. By the grace of God, nagpasok ako 1987. Na-promote ako after 5 years. Ma'am, ganito talaga yun. 5 to 7 teachers, you are only allowed for 1 master teacher. Secondary. At yung insight ni Yusek sa elementary, tama yun. At talaga po, mahirap on our part. Bakit po? We will wait hanggang mag-retire yung additional master teacher upang ma-promote. Sana I would like to request DBM, please abolish yan, please.
No, because thinking out loud lang, maybe we can include that in the law because it has to be merit-based. It's not, that should be quota-based, di ba? Kasi ngayon, Dr. Ginny, it's quota-based eh. But it has to be merit-based and that's what we're promoting here, no? That's why we have standards of assessment and we have merit. So we should focus on that. That's why I want to capture that on record. Go ahead, Kay.
Senator Win, so kanina po sa presentation, nalaman po namin the quota system established under the Position Classification and Compensation Scheme, PCCS, DBM Manual on PCCS Chapter 6, 2004, nandun po talaga yung mga quotas. So, it's really in this DBM manual.
But nobody seems to know what is the criteria to determine.
Hindi po yung
how do you determine, for example, if it's 1:10, 1:20, who determines that? Yes, go ahead, Dr.
During the presentation doon sa DepEd, sinabi yun ni DBM, wala na yung quota. Sinabi yun doon ng DepEd Secretary na talaga wala na yung ng quota. Doon yun sa bulwagan ng karunungan. Yan, sinabi yun ni DBM Secretary, kaya nga nakapalakpak ang mga principals doon.
Limited to master teacher? Or to all different positions? Just only to master teachers? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Proposal kasi noon ng I can still remember kasi for every 1 master teacher, he should supervise more or less 5 to 7 teachers. Yun talaga ang
But who determines 5 to 7 teachers?
Ang DBM, sir.
Sir, Mr. Chair, may I be allowed to read po? Section 6.3.2.3 of the manual po. There is likewise a quota system on the allowable number of master teacher positions in elementary and secondary schools. The quota system as determined by DepEd in consultation with the DBM is as follows po. So, as mentioned po earlier, si DepEd po yung nagde-determine, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
We'll show another slide. This is the ladder or the chart prior to EO 174. So we may sila Tristan drew this. So if you look at letter A, only 14% of T3, teacher 3 will be promoted to master teacher 1. So napaka-konti, no? For only 14%. And that 14% took them 10 to 15 years to be promoted. So na-stuck siya, in other words, in T3. That's the, sabi nga ni Kane, the teacher 3 trap. No? In letter B, only 17% or only 7% of the T3 will be promoted to head teachers. No? And in letter C, only 5% of teachers, no? Whether you're T3 to MT4 will be promoted to school principal. So, in other words, if you look at T3, the proportion or the probability of moving up, ang liit, no? Napakaliit ng probability. At ang tagal, no? Almost a decade before you get promoted. No, naiipit ka talaga sa as T3. That's why if you look at the years of service kanina, almost 1 out of 5 T3 teachers will remain as T3 for the rest of their lives, no? Because yung probability napakaliit lang. But now after this one, after any comments to this, Yusek? Just to hindi, balik tayo kanina. Kasi ang liit lang ng umaakyat eh. No? Maliit lang. And then, now with EO 174, we, labas yung 174. Now, this is now the new image of the, we call it the career progression ladder. No? So hopefully, after T3, pwede na siyang may mga career path na siya to T4, T5. But ang question ko dito, will this prevent a T3 teacher to jump to T1, to master teacher?
That's still a part of the discussion because we're looking at qualification standards. Kasi why do you have to be stuck at T6 if you're already demonstrating the competence of a master teacher? So that's a part of the discussion. What I'm saying is within career stages, dapat nakaka-move na sila and it should not be limiting. Baka lang po doon kasi even doon sa mention kanina na position classification kasi bawal din doon yung switching ng career lines. Tapos in the Executive Order 500, talagang nakasulat doon that the initial implementation doon dapat there shall be no less than 15,000 master teachers should be created. And subject to availability of funds, dapat yun lang yun, baka yun yung naging basis. Because if you look at the provisions under that Chapter 6 of the PCCM, it captures what is actually are included in the Executive Order 500. So, baka yun yung guidance. So, this is just an assumption kasi if you look at the 15,000 over the years, that is pertaining to a certain ratio. To a certain ratio. In fact, kahit dun sa master teacher, within the ranks of master teacher, you cannot have a master teacher 3 and master teacher 4 because dapat 10% yun in totality. So, in the district, kung 10% yung nung total teachers, dapat doon 6.6 ay master teacher 1 at 3.4 ay master teacher 2. And as you move in the master teacher 3, kailangan meron ding corresponding percentage. Which I think is nobody can say na kami ang nag-isip niyan o DBM nag-isip niyan, but I think nung pagbabasahin natin yung EO 500, parang ito yung implied na provision considering budget implications and at the same time the initial number of items to be created which had been no less than 15,000 in a year.
You want to add to that?
Yes, Senator, thank you. On the context of a teacher moving from, say, teacher 1, pwede ba siyang umakyat agad ng teacher 4? The expanded career progression should be able to do that, Senator. This is why we're moving from the context of the number of years of service o yung kanyang experience sa merit-based. So the professional standards are allowing our teachers to do that. But I'd like to also emphasize that from the perspective of the full career progression that the TEC is managing, dapat po pati entry level. Kasi ngayon, ang entry level ng teachers natin, whether maganda na ang performance niya, no, experience yan external to DepEd, say galing sa private school, teacher 1 lang. No? So we're pushing, the council will push na ang entry level niya depende sa kung ano ang kakayahan niya. So therefore, a teacher applying to DepEd may enter as teacher 4, may enter as master teacher, but that is merit-based. Kaya po ang council, hindi lang si DepEd ang kanyang titingnan in terms of all of the use of the standards, pati ang private school, no? So kasama po yan sa ipupush ng council, Senator. So a teacher may move across different positions and therefore career stage based on merit in the expanded career progression, sir.
It's not in the law. That's not in any of the proposal, that concept.
Sir, kasi lalagyan mo na kasi siya ng posisyon, 'di ba? So nilagyan mo siya ng ano tawag dito, ng qualifications at nilagyan mo siya ng mapping kung ano yung saan nakatapat yung P1 sa ating master teacher. So in essence, that should be that will promote that, no, yung clarification na ang teacher can move along. Well, a better way of doing it would be to write it and put it down. We'll put it in the position of TEC. But we can also do that in terms of should it be a law in terms of IRR, sir, in terms of the requirements per position and the movement of teachers. Pero sa EO kasi, sa IRR ng EO, gagawin na nila yun. Tama ba yun? Gagawin na nila yun dapat. Opo. So, parallel po yung directions.
Ngayon ba, if you are a new teacher to DepEd, you have to enter a teacher 1? No matter what is your experience. For example, you've been teaching for 10 years in somewhere, no? In a private school.
Yes, sir. Pero meron tayong special qualification for senior high school. So gumawa tayo niyan kasi at that time, kaya nagkaroon ng different qualifications for different strands. But the regular is that kailangan mo mag-teacher 1 bago pag pumasok ka sa DepEd. Now, hindi naman ako kontra doon sa idea na pumasok ka na master teacher. Pero if you look at the provision of the proposed bill, sinabi natin that that is the base of the career progression. So if that is the base, then dapat siguro baka meron kang residency.
Sure.
The teacher 1 para hindi naman I don't know although in the equal opportunity principle, pero paano mo siya i-open if after the mode of promotion is reclassification? Which means by that time that we are implementing it, there will be no natural vacancies anymore. Once we roll out the EO 174. Ang binigay lang po kasi natin under the IRR is that within 3 years, yung transition period. Like for instance, we implement the career prog by 2025, all existing natural vacancies should be filled up within the year. So the same thing is true for subsequent vacancies. Pero ang tinitingnan natin is that ang mode ng reclassification, the sole mode of promotion should be reclassification so that you are actually challenging yourself, not in competition with the rest. So kung merit-based yan, mas madali mong ma-establish yun. So, kung ang question, kung papasok siya as teacher 3, kung nag-i-implement na to, baka walang bakanting teacher 3. Kasi lahat ng positions based on the IRR is when the master teacher is vacated, binibigyan lang namin ng up to 9 months, which is under ora-ora to fill it up. If it is not filled up, babalik siya, reverted back to a teacher 1. So that dun ulit mag-uumpisa yung journey niya papunta sa so that's how we implement that.
Thank you, Senator. That's a concern. We missed that particular aspect in the study of the career progression. Because currently, the driving force of the initial teacher preparation entering DepEd, sorry, may I go back? Less of our graduates in the teacher education institutions can enter DepEd in their first year upon graduation because DepEd requires experience. Now, with the adoption of the professional standards, DepEd removed that. And that gives now an opportunity for very high potential graduates of TEIs to enter DepEd immediately and join the force in the biggest system. So that's a good point. But that also gives us an opportunity to draw and to be able to develop further the qualifications of our teachers naman who are already in other systems. And I'm not just talking about private schools. We're talking about other teachers, graduate of teacher education who are in other fields. Museum, for example, sports areas for those who are graduates of MAPE, etc., who would like to enter now the department, but may miss on the opportunity of better credentialing in terms of their experience, tapos teacher one. So that's a downside to everything that we have set up in the career progression framework. But that is a conversation, Senator, that we would like to hold with BHROD. Tama, Director Ram, no, kay BHROD po yun as to hiring. But that we took note of that. But also in parallel to this discussion, Senator, say for example, nakapasok na ang isang guro sa departamento, critical din po yung understanding within DepEd at yung clarification within DepEd na kaya nating suportahan ang demands ng career stages. For example, Senator, career stage 1 ng teacher hanggang career stage 2, magkaiba po ang expectation nun. Kasi if you are in career stage 2, you can stay in career stage 2 forever. There are teachers who decide to stay there. Pwede po yun. Requirement po ng TEC na dapat ang lahat ng ating mga teachers across the Philippines dapat nasa career stage 2. So hihintayin po natin kung paano i-clarify ito ng sistema ng DepEd na masuportahan ng teachers natin across. So an available PD, an available pathway should be there, and the teachers should not be asking for that. No, dapat nakalatag lang. But may I note, maybe a last point, Senator, is that bago ka maging school head, kailangan mo ng practice. Ngayon kasi ay test lang. Ina-appreciate po namin yung directions ng Department of Education na sana magkaroon na rin ng baka test, no, baka assessment system for supervisors. We appreciate that. But going back to a school head, an assessment system that would require a test, a sit-down test, will not be enough to say a person could be a good school head. So the Teacher Education Council will push for designations of deputy school heads for them to practice because they need to be able to see the ground and be able to support their work within the ground. Similarly, Senator, for the pre-service curriculum, we need additional practicum because the theory could not suffice. We need our pre-service teachers to practice more. So we have the same level for school head, and we're looking at the same component for supervisors. So again, Senator, dun sa baka hindi kaya sa entry level na beyond teacher 1, would like to sit further with DepEd on that. Thank you, Senator.
I think, go ahead, Dr. Rosaria.
I second the motion with Ma'am Hoxon. Bakit po? Pumasok ako na principal, nasa totoo lang po, hindi ko alam ang trabaho ko as school principal doon noong 1990s. Nahirapan kami talaga. Parang wala kaming, but we learn fast, nasa field na po kami. For the suggestion is very, very welcome po. Kailangan talaga yun, sir. Based on experience, hirap talaga naging post kami doon sa field, pero wala kaming experience as school principal. Another comment is, yung suggestion ni Yusek is a welcome development. Kailangan po reclassification. Hindi po parang nagparang kasi kung walang item, mahirap talaga. Mahirap talaga. And I am very happy, nakita ko po ang development ng Department of Education since 1983 hanggang ngayon. Ang ganda po, more or less, honestly, yung overtime pay. First time lang po ito. During our time, lahat ay thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, kahit Sabado o sa Domingo, thank you, thank you, thank you. Only ngayon na mayroon na. So salamat po, salamat po. It's a welcome development for the Department of Education, a welcome development for the Philippines education. Salamat po.
Go ahead, Sir Carrion. Carrion ba?
Cabrera po.
Cabrera.
I also support the recommendations of Madam because lumabas na po ngayon yung NQuest result. As a district supervisor, we ensure na chinecheck din namin our level yung mga nag-exam. No? Magiging principal na yan, ano? So 29, 6 lang pumasa. 6 lang pumasa on the written basis assessment. Sa 6 na yun, tingnan namin ilan yung experience sila as a school head. Sa note, may 2 doon, walang experience. Pero yung mga hindi pumasa, matagal na pong assistant principal, matagal na pong OIC school head. So I recommend po hindi lang po yung batayan para mabarka on the entry of become principal on that written examination. Because in my district supervision, ang daming mahusay na principal, nga lang sa written, wala. Pero sa galing, on the actual journey, the best silang OIC school head.
Go ahead po, Dr. Fernandez.
I am also supporting the of quotation of Dr. Hoxon. And another, in fairness to the Department of Education, for the new teachers, newly appointed teachers, we are doing that induction program for teachers kung saan hindi po nangyayari sa school heads. So walang nagawang parang induction program sa incoming school heads. Kasi kung papasa ka ng inquest noon, naging inquest ngayon, talagang mabibigyan ka ng school. So doon ka na mag-learn from your experience, and that is what my experience all about. So from teacher to pumasa ng principal's exam, nabigyan ng school, doon na kami nag-develop ng leadership style doon sa aming experience. So sa teachers kasi, sa Teacher 1, may ginagawa yung DepEd, yung Teacher Induction Program, para ma-prepare talaga yung mga teachers na hindi naman po nangyayari sa school heads position and even in the supervisory position. So sana, kung kaya nga sabi ng kasama ko kanina, kung nagagawa dito sa level na yan, pwede bang gawin na lang sa lahat ng level? Thank you very much.
I think what's clear is the law will create the career progression, but the equivalent qualification will leave it to DepEd. So that, because that's dynamic, that's dynamic. So that as you go along, I'm sure DepEd can improve on the qualification and also some aspects, like for example, the one that Dr. Jeannie mentioned, that qualified teachers outside of DepEd should be able to enter into a higher position. So we'll leave that to DepEd. But so the law will just specify the career progression as to the qualification per position. DepEd na yan. No? Yeah, para flexible. Oh. I think the law mentioned that naman here. No? That the qualification standards will be left to DepEd, TEC, CSE, and the others. No? Right? Okay. Yes, go ahead, Benjo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, just to reiterate, no, yun po kasing ngayon kung dadami talaga yung classroom teaching, no, from teacher 1 to MT1. Gusto po namin din sana no, na ma-incorporate ay payagan lahat ng pwedeng ma-qualify. Kasi ang isa sa aming binabanggit po nung nakaraan, hindi pa ito malinaw, no? Kasi parang nagiging ladderized pa rin. So teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, no? Kasi kung may teacher po talaga na nag-teacher 1 na siya, kahit pasabihin natin, i-consider natin yung residency, no, for, let's say, for a period of 1 year or 2 years, di ba? Baka naman pa pwede na siyang maging master teacher 1. No? After all, sa master teacher 1 naman, doon naman po tayo uli, no? Pupunta doon. Crossroads yung master teacher 1 position, no? Kasi mahirap po ito dahil ma-defeat yung purpose talaga ng career progression. Kung dati nababara tayo sa teacher 3 dahil hindi niya alam, binanggit ni Ma'am Kay kanina, di ba? Parang close tayo, no? Binanggit ni Ma'am Kay na pagdating sa teacher 3, either magiging master teacher siya na very, very slim yung chance, no? Or ang pinakamadali, mas madali pala ay magiging HT1 na i-give up niya yung pagtuturo. Well, that's basically the main purpose of this measure, no, actually. Kaya okay na po kami doon. Pero sana, no, yung teacher na na-qualify ay okay pa siya doon, no? Papasok pa siya doon, no po. And then siguro Mr. Chair, no, just to ask then, of course, no, the DepEd could answer. Yun pong pinirma na po kasi ito nung July 26, tama, no? Tapos ina-anticipate na nung mga tao di ba? Pero hanggang ngayon meron pa ring mga teacher head teacher positions, no, na pumapasok na ina-approve po, no, yung kanilang appointment. Siguro isang issue po dito, no, habang hinihintay natin yung anong tawag natin dito, yung batas po, no, na Republic Act, di ba? If ever, mukhang okay naman na tayong lahat doon, ano po. Yung implementation po nitong EU 174 and its IRR, kasi meron na po siyang IRR. So nagpe-prepare na rin yung mga tao, di ba? Pero ngayon po, no, hanggang last week, meron pa yatang bagong head teacher position po na pinapapasok. And of course, yung qualification standard. We understand, no, that the qualification standards po, no, would be coming from the Department of Education para makita po natin. And of course, gusto naming sabihin pa rin uli doon, ano, na dapat naman ay binabanggit kanina ni Sir Cabrera, no po, no. Although ito, sir, naalala ko nung umattend kami sa mga hearing, no, nung mga unang hearing dito, no, in both houses of Congress, no. May binabanggit na yung puso, no, yung pusong teacher ay dapat mabigyan ng maisama, no, dun sa qualification. But of course, no, nagkasundo rin dati, no, ang hirap naman sukatin, no, yung laman ng puso, di ba? So kailangan talaga may panukat, no po. Ang problema natin po ngayon sa DepEd, ito rin yan, lumalabas din po, no. Pag nakapasa ka sa NQuest, pwede ka na ma-qualify sa pagiging principal, no? Parang gayon po, no. Kapag ka marami kang papel na galing sa mga university, no, when by the way, nauuso na po, no, yung mga tawag natin diyan sa TEC po, no, ang tawag natin diyan yung mga fly by night, no, ng mga schools, no. Ang dami nagpo-provide po ng mga degree, no, na medyo hindi yata tayo kampante, no. Binanggit nyo rin to sa isa ninyong press release, no, Senator, no. So yun po, kung bakit nagkakaganon, kasi magkarugtong po ito, no. Lahat gustong ma-promote. Parang gusto na lang yata ng mga tao ma-promote. Pero hindi nila gustong matuto, no. Parang nag-aral na lamang po para ma-promote. Nag-aral para tumaas yung sweldo. Hindi nag-aral para maging mahusay na teacher, mahusay na administrador. Yung puso po nawawala, which is napaka-importante sana sa pagsukat natin sa mga pumapasok sa teaching profession. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Rao. Congressman Benjo, daming congressman dito. I think you have a good point. You made a very good point, Benjo, and Dr. Jeannie has now taken the helm of the TEC, and part of their mandate is to look at the TEIs, the teacher education institutions. We've been flagging Ched about a lot of TEIs who have never passed a licensure exam. No, we have some TEIs that had never passed any LET licensure examination, and we have also centers of excellence who are far from being a center of excellence. So that's part of the review of the TEC, and because that will connect to what you are saying, that if a person takes a master's degree or even PhD for promotion purposes, you have to admit na talagang a lot of our teachers take it for promotion purposes. We have to make sure that the TEIs are of quality. It's not only being it's not a TEI that just provides diploma for the purpose of getting a diploma. Now, we have to make sure that it's of quality, and that's part of the review of the TEC. But you have a very good point to that effect. No? And any comment?
Yes, sir. We are actually debating from credentialism and moving to competency-based. So before kasi, if you are a PhD graduate, you already are assured of a 35 points out of the 100. But we have substantially reduced that to a manageable 10 or 10 points, which means that it's not really about the paper credentials that or documents that you are submitting. It's actually on how your competence can be measured. As to the still ongoing promotion to head teachers, even if it is not already included in the ECP or the expanded career progression, we did not provide advisory to staff on that because this has been unfilled for quite a while, and that provides opportunity for those teacher 1 applying to head teacher 1 to a retitling to a higher position. Because when we implement that, at nasa teacher 1 pa rin sila, at least kung nag-qualify sila in the natural vacancy track of promotion, if they choose to be retitled, at least yung head teacher 1, which is salary grade 14, is already equivalent to T4. So I think that's also an opportunity for teachers to get promoted at this point. Or since one of the options under the IRR is to retain the position of head teacher and perform the same function, then they have the option on that. And one of the grants as well under the head teacher is that they are on stream to professional development and becoming a school head after having attended or gone through professional development on leadership roles.
Go ahead, Ben.
Sir, may I just clarify po? Tama, salamat po sir. No? Actually, I want to post no, yung hiring ng mga head teacher. No? In fact, yun nga po yung gusto sana naming ma-retain. No? Mas siguro pa yung context pa nung tanong, kailan natin siya i-implement. Kasi kung yung head teachers talaga ay okay na, di ba? Ay hinahire pa, syempre dapat may mga teacher 1 na pwede na rin mag-apply no, ng teacher 4 or teacher 6 or teacher 7 for that matter. Hindi ko po tinatanong to dahil teacher 1 ako at forever. Pero sana naman wag naman magretiro na teacher 1 ano po. And of course sir no those head teachers no who will opt no to retain yung positions po. Ito specific yung question po pinapatanong ng mga kasama natin kaka-text lang no. Kasi kung head teacher 1 siya no, hindi siya nag-retitle to teacher 4, no? Pwede pa ba siyang ma-promote ng up to head teacher 6, no? At kung hindi, yun po sana yung gusto po sana naming payagan. Kung sakali, no, kung hindi niyo po kami mapagbibigyan ano, na ma-retain yung head teacher position, ano. May ganoon naman po yung mga kasama namin. Flexible naman po sila doon. Thank you po.
Do you want to, Yusek, you want to answer that?
Yeah. Meron naman tayong pang 3 years nga na transition on that. And pero if you push to be retained to a certain level, say na-reach mo na yung head teacher 5, head teacher 4, since wala nang creation, one of the proposals as well as in the paper is that to make the head teacher item coterminous, since there will be no more creation of head teacher. So but still kaya ang naisip namin din doon sa EO 174 IRR is that for every vacancy that might come up, we will allow certain grace period to fill it up using the natural vacancy so that all of those, ayoko naman sabihin leftover, those who were hindi nakapag-decide kung magpapa-retitle or ma-retain, will still have that opportunity to get higher position through reclassification. So if after 1 year, hindi yan napilapan, saka lang natin siya i-revert back. So those are some of the options.
Senator, pwede ba ka-raise question?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I am amenable na ang head teacher ma-phase out ang matamat, but please provide us administrative officers. Mahirap talaga mag-manage ng school na principal lang with 7,000 population. Mahirap talaga yun. please provide us administrative officers upang ang matrabaho ng mga department heads. Ang department heads talaga sila gumagawa ng mga bids and awards doon sa school level. Maraming trabaho yun talaga. Kung kunin yun sa amin, mahirap yun talaga. Salamat po.
That's the discussion earlier that, and we agree, personally I agree, the senators agreed to add more administrative staff on a per school basis. No, and that will help our teachers with administrative tasks and of course support our principals with the other assignments being given by law and also by national government. No? So,
Sir,
tama
please.
yan.
Sir, please, no. So, yung sa totoo lang po, ang kailangan ng mga schools based on data, 25,000 ang kailangan sa mga schools, pero out of constraints sa budget, 5 lang. What I mean, 5,000 lang. Hirap pa rin yun, but
Yeah.
it's still welcome na may additional po.
Rest assured, Mr. Rosarial will work on that approach to add more positions for administrative staff, no? Para matulungan natin yung mga schools natin. Yes, Mr. Cabrera, and then si Mr.
Mr. Season.
Season.
Yes, Senator, I would like to raise query sa civil service on this career progression of teachers. Ano po ang magiging estado na yung ating memorandum sa CSE na no promotion of more than 3 salary grade policy?
It's a very good question. Attorney Timbon.
Yes, po. Yes, to clarify po, with regard po sa HR actions, as mentioned by Yusek Cabral, there are actually 2 modes. One is through regular promotion. When there is actually a vacant position and that an employee or a teacher would apply for that particular. Yung pong career progression po kasi natin, it's more of reclassification than promotion. So, yung pong mga rules po kasi natin, like with regard to reclassification, wala pong publication of vacant position. So, which means, kaya po yung own item po yon. So, kapag kunyari teacher 3 and based on qualifications or yung kanila pong competency-based standards, mamimit na ng teacher, pwede po yung quantum leap na nga po eh. From teacher 1, pwedeng umangat, papuntang teacher 3 or even higher based on qualifications. Yun po yung parang, if we try to compare it to the faculty members, sila po kasi open career. Rather closed career po sila. So which means naka-rank system po ang faculty members. So they go up po yung kanilang rank based on their qualifications. Yung pong career progression ng DepEd is similar to that. Qualifications po ang mag-aangat po sa teacher. Pero kanina nga po yung talk is, paano nga ba makakaangat yung teacher 1 kung halos hindi siya makapag-enroll to acquire masteral units o yung mga ganon. So pero kumbaga, sariling initiative po ng mga teachers para umangat din po siya. And with the help of course, management sa mga opportunities na ibibigay. Yun po yung nakikita po natin dito na we have to make a distinction between these 2 different modes para sa pag-angat. Although earlier, I heard Yusek Cabral. Yusek, please clarify kung I heard you right na what you are actually looking forward is a scenario wherein wala nang natural vacancy at more na lang doon sa reclassification. Medyo may konti lang po din yung disadvantage. Kasi kapag po puro career progression na lang, ang nagbe-benefit talaga doon ay mga insiders. You have to be in to avail of yung career progression. So kapag puro reclassification na lang, wala pong publication. So no opportunity to attract applicants from outside. So importante din po may balancing act din po tayo kasi pag wala na pong ganung opportunity, walang infusion of fresh blood in the organization, titingnan din po natin kasi meron din pong magagaling na mga nagtuturo galing sa private sector, maganda din or mga administrators na din po nila na pwedeng makatulong din po para makadagdag ng mga new ideas sa DepEd. So I hope I answer po your question, sir.
Go ahead, Yusek.
That's a good point po. That's the reason why we're saying na merong 1 year na window. So that there is a balance of reclass and natural vacancy. Kasi kung pababayaan namin na more than as they please, baka taon-taon, if you recall, Senator, during budget hearing, laging naglalaro yan sa 5% unfilled. So we'd like also to address that. So what we're saying is, once we implement this, there is a one year grace period for levels of governance to fill that up using natural vacancy. And then, saka natin siya ibabalik and then kukuha na lang. Kasi parang i-revert na natin to the position where it was. Kasi yun din sana yung tinitingnan ko as a matter of promotion in terms of salaries. Na there is a certain, like for instance, kung ang adjustment mo is T1 to T3, salary grade 11 to salary grade 13, mag-a-adjust ka. Baka merit-based, the person will have to, can achieve that a certain level of salary grade, but the position, once vacated, will revert back to its original para selective. So, halimbawa, the salary grade of a supervisor as requested, a district supervisor, can do sa proposal kasi kanina is 19, no, sir? At incumbent ngayon, 22. But they can, parang, sige, we can allow that, but of course, subject to discussion, upon 19, newly appointed, tapos maging 20, 21, 22, and ka doon. But once vacated, balik ka doon sa 19. So that the one occupying that will still have that process of on individual performance. So it does not touch everything, and even those non-performing are covered. Oh, well, I'm saying that this of the reclassification. Kasi once you do the whole of the organization approach of adjusting salary, parang everybody is given that without actually, so across the board kasi yon. So that's I'm not saying that could be done, but I am just floating the idea if that could be considered possibility, particularly on those items which are the addenda, so that you will not be shifting to another position requiring other qualifications. So that's my take on that.
I'll show on the screen. This is the proposed Senate Bill number 2827. This is the proposed career progression ladder. We have amended the supervision portion because we wanted the supervision portion to be status quo insofar as salary grade is concerned. We want to maintain that. But in doing so, we also propose to create a new supervision portion at the SG21 level. No? This is subject for discussion in the technical working group. I just want to put this on the table so that our friends from the supervisor group can study this carefully. And of course, DepEd and TEC can study this carefully because the PSDS and EPS qualifications are different. So we hiniwalay namin yung kanilang salary grade. But in doing so, we also want to have one more position so that from Master Teacher 1, you have a seamless transition from Master Teacher 1 to P1 to Principal or to Supervision. So subject to discussion to, subject to discussion. But for the school administration track and the teaching track, this is what is prescribed under the proposals, the 4 proposals. No, ito yung magiging itsura niya. And have we already promulgated the qualification standards for T4 to T7? Meron na siya. Is there a
Sir Chair, it's still with the Civil Service Commission, and we have to consult the PRC before we go back to the commission for its approval po.
So the process, DepEd to CSC?
Then magjo-joint po kami, meeting with the PRC.
Okay. And
Yes.
then after that, do you need to publish that or how's that?
No,
What are the
ano po
next
is,
steps?
for DepEd po kasi ito, specific agency, no need for publication.
Okay, so it will just go back to DepEd for implementation. And the reason I ask is this will now open up more opportunities for Teacher 3 to go up. No? And I know that a lot of our Teacher 3 teachers are waiting for this to be implemented. No? All right. Okay. All right. Any more questions before see Mr. Season and then Mr. Rosarial?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you for inviting us. This is my first time actually. And with regards to the concerns, thank you very much, Ma'am Hoxon. Dahil napakaganda po yung idea. Nakita ko po talaga yung, kasi hindi po may tatanong. I was raised, of course, from Teacher 1 to Teacher 3, 21, 22, Education Program Supervisor, for 10 years, coordinator, and become Public School District Supervisor. So based on my experience, I've learned a lot to my experience kasi dumaan po ako sa lahat. Kaya maunawaan ko po ang plight po ng bawat isa sa amin na bago marating ang posisyon na ito ay pinaghihirapan na nasa puso. Hindi lang hindi, kundi pinaghirapan. Based on my experience as Public School District Supervisor now for 7 years in my Schools Division of Taguig City and Pateros, with regards to the concern of Dr. Rosario, marami po talaga po ngayon ang mga principal na nangangailangan ng kanilang mga administrative staff. Particularly po doon sa mga naiwanan ng mga teachers or coordinators din, na kung saan itong mga or administrative officer, after having the position just only 1 year, resigned. Why? Because their duties and responsibilities po ay overloaded po sila. I don't know kung, sabi ko nga, palagi kong, bakit nag-resign sila agad-agad? Only to find out, yung kanilang needs po ay napakabigat. Yung isang job description ng isang halos 4-5 ang nahawakan. Kung susumahin po natin dito pag-aaralan, ang isang aras po ay kailang pagatian ng 3. Isa. So kahit ako po, kung bibigyan ng trabaho na ganoon, mag-resign din po ako talaga. Kaya kailangan siguro dito sa hiling po natin ay kailangan po natin humayin bago bigyan ang magbigay ng isang posisyon, higit po sa lahat sa mga pangailangan ng mga school heads. Kasi sa totoo lang po, dito nakasalang ang aking mga school heads. Ako po naaawa sa kanila. Kasi nung naalis ang mga coordinatorship sa mga teachers, which is a good sign din po na talagang quality education po, kumbaga. Pero nakasalalay po ang lahat ng trabaho po sa mga school principals. Lahat nasa kanila. At kung titingnan natin, binigyan nga sila ng kanilang administrative officer, pero yung mga trabaho yun, ay hindi po kaya. So siguro po, nabangin ko na ito'y dapat natin pag-aralan na mabuti ng sa ganun po, ang delivery of quality education ay magandang po na bawat isa. Thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Rosarial?
May I reiterate our concern? Example, this August body. ang Principal 1 hanggang Principal 4, untouched po ito. Long time ago, yun na po ang structure. Alam yun ng PESPA, right? Maraming meeting sa General Assembly during Congress, sabi po, Mr. President, bakit hindi mo yung bigyan ipapasok doon sa Congress sa mga senators? Totoo yun, sir. P1 to P4, na-stuck up po. Ako po is promoted to P4. Wala ng P5. I am already 17 years as P4. But I am still happy working with the learners. Pero sana po i-consider din, please. I-consider din. Ang trabaho ng principal po, instructional. Instructional, leadership, administrative, fiscal. Ang dami-dami ng trabaho. Please, sir. Pero sana, sir, I invited 3 times the senator during our convention, pero very busy siya. Siguro kung nandoon siya, maraming tanong ang sa kanya. Pero sana po next year, sir, nandoon ka na. Salamat po, salamat po.
Sa suggestion, Dr. Rosarial is dagdagan ng P5. Ganun ba yun?
Kung sana po, sir, kung sana po. No?
Yeah.
Kanina po, sa number 1 proposal ko po, bakit po return the best teachers in the classroom with salary grade of schools division superintendent? Please, hindi sa office ng superintendent ang best performance. Nasa classroom po, di ba? Why not support the classroom teachers? Sa totoo lang po, nasa classroom ang quality instruction. Please, let us support our classroom teachers. Sana po, sir, at sana po, i-consider din. We are also praying, no? We are also praying. Bigyan din po natin ng rata ang mga principals po. Salamat po.
Actually, dito ho sa proposal niyo is P4 to P7. P4 to P7. Sige po. We'll study that. Of course, andito po yung DBM. I think it will be a budgetary, more of a budgetary question, no? I think. But we'll thank you for your position paper. We'll study that.
Thank you,
Go
sir.
ahead.
I just would like, I don't know if I hear it right. Kasi it was mentioned na parang ADAS was shared. Is that true? Hindi ADAS. Okay. Kasi I issued a memorandum as well because some of the divisions even make the administrative assistant shared among schools. That's not the direction. Kasi that should be in school. Pag ginawa mo yung shared yung position na yun sa mga schools, magre-resign talaga yun. Oo. So, assistant nga yun eh. But it was shared in some schools, so that's why I issued a memorandum to all divisions not to do that. What we do initially is clustering for AO2. That's why we're making a very strong representation na sana mabigyan mo na kahit at least isa lang bawat eskwelahan, Senator, before moving forward. Kasi ang computation natin is based on the 2,400 minutes per week in the number of tasks that the administrative officer should do. So with that, we crunch the number of AO requirement for school depending on the number of work to be tasks to be done, as well as the number of teachers and learners in that school.
So sure, we'll support the department with the increase the number of administrative officers and administrative staff. No, I truly believe that that's a worthwhile investment, and that will have immediate impact to learner outcomes. Yes, Dr. Rosarial, and then I think who's
Sir, the Vice President of NAPSPIL, Dr. Corazon Regino from Mandaluyong would like to say something po.
Sige po. Ma'am, go ahead.
Sir. Good afternoon, sir. I just would like to give emphasis on Sir Dr. Marshall mentioned a while ago. Yung pong sinasabi niya na patungkol doon sa mga AO na dinala sa mga paaralan, and we really thank them for bringing them. Kaya nga lang talagang may mga nag-resign talaga. Kasi because of the department order, DepEd order number 2, removal of the administrative task to the teachers. So like, halimbawa, yung gulayan sa paaralan, yung DRR, and all the things, wins at kung ano-ano pa. Siyempre, tinanggal po yun lahat sa mga teachers, kung kaya nakay-principal po lahat yun. So, kaya pagka-attend, like for example, nagiging katatawanan na nga lang po sa amin, we are making it light, no? Meeting ng nutrition, si principal lang a-attend. Meeting ng DRR, kami rin po ang a-attend. Meeting ng gulaya sa paaralan, kami din po ang a-attend. Kasi nga yung mga nandun, wala na pong teacher kasi bawal lang po dahil sa AO number 2. DepEd order number 2 rather. So, ang nangyari ngayon, nung nagdala, we thank the DO for bringing in the AOs, AO1, AO2, and from there, siyempre si AO na ang nag-liquidate, siya na po ang nag-DRR, yung lahat ng trabaho para makatulong kay principal. Kaya sabi nung isa kong inaanak na AO2, Ninang, ayoko na, mag-resign na po ako, hindi ko kaya. So, at talaga pong nag-resign siya. So, ibig sabihin, kung maliit ang paaralan, wala talaga siyang, lalo elementary, wala siyang head teachers. Walang katulong sa supervision, ano? So, talaga pong, talagang sa AO nakabagsak lahat yung work. Kung kaya ang nangyayari, talagang tulong lang si principal at saka po si AO. May meeting, nagkasabay-sabay. O ikaw doon, ako dito. O itong dapat gawin. So, gano'n na lang po kami. Kaya po, right now, talaga ang clamor namin sa field, we really need more administrative personnel to help us in the task. Yun lang po. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Yusek.
Sa lahat po kasi ng mga principal, whether elementary or secondary, ang lagi ko pong naririnig is DO2. I don't know if you have read DO5. Kasi sa DO2, it's just an announcement of the removal. There is no implementing guidelines on how we do it. But we issued DO5 specifying, among others, which are the things that should be assigned to teachers, which should not be assigned to teachers. We even classified the tasks assigned to teachers as ancillary or teaching related. So we define ancillary tasks as those tasks which are incidental to normal teaching duties. Of course, you cannot assign to administrative officer lesson plan preparation. They cannot do that. So we define that. And we even classified that into 4. And what are those tasks that teaching related? Of course, the AO cannot be assigned to reading and numeracy coordinatorship because they have no preparation of that. And then I'm just wondering why, for all of the discussions, the department order that being mentioned is DO2. When in fact, subsequently, we issued Department Order number 5 that specifies all of this. Actually, DO2, 6 na paragraphs lang po yun. And these are all guidance on how do we prepare for the eventual removal of all the tasks. Then we issued DO5 and we even listed down in a very straightforward manner what are those that can be assigned. And then, just very recently, we issued the implementing guidelines for DO5. Ang ini-specify naman natin doon paano babayaran si teacher ng kanyang teaching overload and everything. So, medyo po, baka po pwede natin balikan kasi in-specify na natin dito ano yung mga trabaho na dapat. Like for instance, teacher ancillary tasks, define na natin as curriculum planning, pag-prepare ng lesson plan, curriculum pedagogy and delivery, paano magturo, assessment of learners' progress, homeroom guidance and management. Yan lang po dapat yung tinatrabaho ni teacher. And we define that as an ancillary task. Yung answer teacher, sinabi natin, what are those teaching-related assignments that can be assigned to teacher?
school coordinator for reading, numeracy, research, special needs education, inclusive education. They can be trainer of school paper, sports development, and SSG, or can be chairman of the grade level or learning area. These tasks cannot be assigned because that by their nature, they are not administrative. These are related to teaching. And there must be some sort of competence on that. And then we even identify ano naman yung para kay administrative officer and those which should be performed by the school head. So, sorry, Senator, I'm just making this avenue to appeal to our school heads that you should know the distinction between the DO2 and the DO5. Because mas explicit po yung DO5 na nagka-clarify ng mga provisions. Ano naman yung mga trabaho? In fact, in the several attachments and even ways to do it, nandun na, sinulat natin. So, tulungan na lang po din tayo kasi that cannot be used for all the times. Tinanggalan mo kami ng trabaho, dinagdagan kami ng trabaho. When a one-page department order cannot suffice to explain everything. Yun lang yung request ko, Senator. With that.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Yusek. Any more last comment on the proposed measures? Hearing none, please submit to us your position paper on or before October 25, which is Friday. And we will have a technical working group on the career progression system, on the proposed measures, October 28, Monday, 1 p.m. So we'll send a formal invitation to everyone. All right? So with that, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Thank you very much for participating and voicing out your opinion and suggestion. And feel free to suggest. Suggestion lang naman to, Mr. Rosarial. No? So, kaya okay lang mag-suggest. But thank you very much to everyone. This hearing is hereby adjourned. Thank you.